Hey everybody, it's Carl from Carl's Opinion. Welcome to our Wednesday night live call-in show. Anyway, welcome aboard everybody. I see a lot of people there in the chat. Thanks for joining us. I see the great douchebag, Shonda, Bruce, DM. Oh, hey DM, how you doing there? And see who else we got up there. Saw Jervis in there as well. Good seeing you. Saw Black and Irish. Let's see who was there. Top here. Looked like she was getting ready to go to bed though. Let's see. Yeah, we see Mo. Hey Mo, how you doing there? Yeah, Black and Irish crazy chick Sheena. Good seeing you guys. Shonda, graphic designer. Hello. And yeah, and Shonda, I saw you guys were talking about possibly you're going to be doing like some live stream work. Yeah, it's don't be afraid of it. It is one of those things where like when you mess up, trust me, you've done it plenty of times. You can't go back and fix it. But the more you do, the better you get at it. The better practice you get at it. It's just a matter of knowing which dials to turn to get everything up and turn this off, turn that on, turn this off, turn that on. And that's pretty good. That's pretty much. I am good. How about you? Doing good there, Mr. DM. Hey, Aaron. How you doing down there in the chat? And I got a lot of news to cover, a lot of stories today. As you saw, I put in my headline in my description, Nancy Pelosi suffers from hoof and mouth disease. It's just one of those stupid things. They had a deal worked out with Adam Schiff, of all people. They actually worked out a deal with him. They had a deal worked out with Elijah Cummings. Oh my God! You imagine even being able to work out a deal with him. Oh, and then also they also had another deal worked out. They also had a deal worked out as far as even Don Jr. testifying. They got that worked out. They had all these things worked out, ready to go. They had a meeting set for infrastructure with Schumer and Steny Hoyer and Nancy Pelosi. That was all going to get done, and everything's going along fine. And of course, Nancy Pelosi, because she can't control her own party, and she's afraid. She's afraid of the left, creeping up on her. She has to come out and say, "Oh, the president's engaged in a cover-up." I mean, even if she just waited till tonight to say it, But I mean, I go maybe it's past her bedtime. Maybe she goes to bed at like 6:30 at night or something. I have no idea. But obviously, not a real smart person. I mean, if you have to appease your left, watch your left flank, because you're afraid they're going to creep up on you and try to take over. Wait a day. I mean, everything just got done today. I mean, there was a roar that went off in the Democratic caucus when they asked Schiff, "Hey, you got a deal worked out?" He goes, "Yeah, I got a deal worked out." It was yay, because everybody's just happy to get something done. And then she kills it. She kills everything. Look, she's known Trump way longer than any of us have known him. I mean, remember this guy was a liberal Democrat for a long time. Palled around with Pelosi and Schumer and all those guys. Um, you know, and they know him, and she knew that if she said something like that right before a meeting, he was gonna cancel the meeting. I mean, she knew that about him. That's why she did it. She did it on purpose. She didn't want to really go in and talk about infrastructure, and she knew how he would react, and it gave her a great excuse to say, "Oh well, we were there, we were ready to go, but this mean evil Trump, he wanted to cancel the meeting." And of course, in the mainstream media, they just went right along with the narrative, saying, "Oh, he's on strike and all this stuff, and he's not going to get anything done. He's not working." Like as if he isn't working. He's like the hardest working president we've had in my lifetime, and all the things he's accomplished here, just in what, 2.5 years, not even 2.5 years. I mean, as far as unemployment, as far as job creation, as far as prison reform, as far as talking to North Korea, as far as negotiating trade deals with China, the EU, Japan, South Korea, Mexico, Canada. I mean, this guy's just all over the place, and say, "Oh well, he's not going to work." It's like, really, you can say what you want about the guy, but you can't say he doesn't work his ass off, and you can't say that he doesn't get results. He just does. He gets tons and tons of results out there. So I mean, but he's not going to go into a room with somebody who just accused him of committing a felony. I mean, pretty much accuse him of committing a felony cover-up. Concealing evidence, obstruction of justice, a felony obstruction of justice. Like, yeah, I'll sit down with you. You just accused me of committing a felony, but yeah, I'll sit down and talk to you. No, get your head out of your ass, and then we'll sit down and talk. You don't want to get your head out of your ass? Fine. And I'll be honest with you, Nancy Pelosi, booze for booze for root beer. Yeah, I mean, maybe she was drunk. Maybe she was on some kind of prescription medication. Maybe she had too much Botox today. I don't know what her problem was, but personally, I think she did it on purpose. I don't think they really want to hand Trump a big win before 2020, which would be an infrastructure program. Would be, well, even just getting something through Congress, that's a win for him. Because even when he does get stuff through Congress, you notice the mainstream media doesn't really cover it. They don't talk about it. It just passes and it gets done, and you never hear anything about it. You didn't hear that much about opportunity zones. That was huge for the inner cities, and that's not really costing the federal government anything because what they're doing is they're providing tax breaks for private capital to come into the inner cities and say, look, if you stay there for 10 years, I mean, like these guys have to invest not just money but time. You stay there for 10 years, you don't have to pay capital gains tax. I mean, that's not costing us any money because otherwise these companies wouldn't go into the inner cities, wouldn't take the risk of building, factories and production facilities in these places unless they knew they could get, tax breaks on the profits. And remember now, you only get tax breaks on the profits. So, but in order to get profits, you have to, be building stuff, hiring people, that kind of thing. So the incentive is it's a win-win for everybody all the way across the board. And but he didn't get any coverage on that. Of course, he didn't get coverage anything at all. So AOC believes it races to move at the go. Yeah. Oh, hey, Effie, how you doing there, young lady? Just woke up. Oh no, no. Yeah, it's late there, East Coast. Yeah, late, definitely for sure. But first story we're going to cover here, and again, it's open, let's see, live call-in show. So the phone number is area code 775-273-8970. And as I wrote to the great douchebag in the chat, I got it worked out where I have it so the video callers can actually speak to the phone callers. So if we do have people like on a video phone call or even a panel in the future, if somebody calls in, they can actually speak directly to the video caller. So they can, both sides can hear each other, both sides can talk to each other. Tested it out today with some friends of mine. Had somebody coming in on a video call, somebody else coming in on a phone call, and of course, here I am on the mic, and got it all worked out. Got the sounds all equal and everything like that, without any feedback loops or echoing going on. So I was really happy to get that accomplished because I had it done where everybody could hear each other, but I was getting, I couldn't get rid of the ground loops and the feedbacks and the echoes and, the ground noise. But I finally got all that worked out. I was really happy to finally get that accomplished, got, everything where I needed it to be. So if we have a video caller and somebody wants to only call in by phone, we can actually have conversations that way as well. So I was very happy to, yay, technological improvements. Yeah, no kidding. No, Effie knows just, how tortured that's been for me to try to get it where everybody can talk to each other without the ground noise or the ground loops and everything like that. Like I had it set up where they could, but the distortion was just too much. You couldn't listen to it. It was just too distracting. So Effie knows. I've talked to her a couple of times about it offline. Getting her advice and stuff. So I was really happy to be able to get it all worked out. We get that done. So there you go. But anyway, first story we'll get to is Trump sends Democratic leaders packing after Pelosi's accusation of cover-up. Again, just unbelievable. I mean, all these deals are getting worked out, and she comes in with this. All right, and this is from the Washington Times, Dave Boyer and Stephen Dinan. A visibly disgusted President Trump announced Wednesday he won't work with Democrats while they're seeking to impeach him, cutting short a meeting with Democratic leaders of the White House and vowing to go it alone until Democrats finish their phony investigations. Yeah, I don't blame him. They had to provide to the court a reason why they wanted like his tax returns and financial information from his accountants and stuff. I mean, because they can't say, oh, we just want to. So they said, oh, it was to, one of the reasons they gave was to just to make sure the laws are working, as far as disclosures and stuff. And, make sure the laws are working as far as, if somebody's filing correct tax returns and things like that. But, I mean, of course, they have to pick out this one guy. I mean, they could have picked out Nancy Pelosi. He said, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to subpoena her records to see if she's consistent with the laws and everything. But no, obviously it was partisan. Obviously they're just, looking at President Trump's financial records from prior to when he was president. And then the mainstream media carries on this phony baloney. I saw Lawrence O'Donnell, of course, Mr. Mary Kay Cosmetic Man. Again, if that guy jumps in a pool, I mean, it's going to be a big film over that pool with all the makeup that guy wears. And, he's saying there, oh, well, if it turns out, I love this. They just throw this out there, just stick it out there and say, if it turns out that some oligarch was co-signing checks and co-signing loans for Trump and therefore Trump is beholden to Putin. it's like Trump has been the toughest president in Russia in my recent memory. The only one who was tougher on Russia was Ronald Reagan, and Trump's a very close second, and he's actually approaching it right now. I mean, he's actually. There's a story I'll be covering here where he's got the Second Fleet engaging in maneuvers there in the Baltic to kind of keep Vladimir Putin in line in the Baltic states. We know he already had troops in Syria wiping out 200 of his quote-unquote, mercenaries from Russia, which were Russian frontline troops that were posing as mercenaries. Everybody knew they were Russian troops, and we killed like 200 of them in Syria. He sent cruise missiles in Syria, took out a bunch of Russian advisors there as well. He's got NATO kicking more money for their defense against Russia, which of course doesn't make Russia happy. I mean, why would that be good for Russia if NATO is going to pick up more money for their defense and build up larger armies and air forces and things of that sort? That doesn't help Russia. He was also trying to kill the deal between Germany and Russia on the pipeline deal, which is going to provide tons of income and money to Russia to help build their military. That doesn't help Russia at all. We're totally opposed to one another on the Venezuela issue, Cuba. The list goes on and on. The fact that he's building up our energy industry, our oil industry, that doesn't help Russia. That goes totally against Russia. The fact also, remember, President Obama, Obama's tough on Russia. He was the one who had the open mic moment, talking to the president of Russia, saying, just tell Vladimir that after the election, this was in 2012, right before the election in November, just tell Vladimir after the election I'll be able to deal with him much better on getting those missiles out of Poland. And sure enough, what does he do? He removes the missiles out of Poland, and that was to help Russia. It wasn't to help Poland or Europe. He does that deal. And then remember when Vladimir Putin invaded the Crimea in the Ukraine, that was on President Obama's watch. What did he do about it? Nothing. And the more important thing is Putin knew he could do it with Obama on as president because he knew Obama wouldn't do anything. Yeah, he went into Crimea. Now, if you notice, Putin hasn't gone into Ukraine or done any. There hasn't been any stories about Russian troops moving into the Ukraine or anything like that. Not since Trump has been in office. Why? Because Trump didn't just send humanitarian aid and some blankets and pillows and some food and medicine. He sent like anti-tank weapons. He sent anti-air weapons, the same kind of stuff we sent in Afghanistan when Russia invaded Afghanistan back in the 80s. This late 70s, early, I think it was 1980 they went in. So, he's actually sent military hardware to the Ukrainians, and not to mention the United States Air Force planes are actually flying over the Ukraine and doing maneuvers with the Ukrainian Air Force. So, this is like real deal. So, he put the Russians on notice, you're not going to the Ukraine. And those pilots in the American pilots, NATO pilots flying in Ukraine are weapons hot. They're carrying live ordnance. So this is a real. He stopped any kind of further invasion by the Russians into Ukraine. That didn't help Vladimir Putin. Didn't help him at all. He pulled out of the nuclear arms treaty, allowing us to build more nuclear weapons against Russia. Reagan bankrupted the former Soviet Union by going hot and heavy on the arms race, and the Soviets couldn't keep up. Well, guess who else can't keep up with us? The Russians. He signed the largest defense authorization bill in the history of this country. Remember, through sequestration, Obama cut down on the military big time. That only benefited Russia by our military being unable to project force around the world. There were whole air wings that weren't able to take off because they lacked spare parts. That's totally different now. That doesn't benefit Russia, that we can send the fleet around the globe, that we can send our airports around the world, that we can send. Saw a story that they may be sending 10,000 troops into the Middle East. That doesn't help Russia by us being able to exert influence in places where they want to exert influence. It doesn't help Putin. So, the idea like that, it's going to show oligarchs are in control of Trump. To what end? To what end? To no end. Of course, it just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, let's go on with this story. So after dumbass Pelosi accused Trump of that, Trump said, "I don't do cover-ups." Mr. Trump told reporters in a hastily arranged Rose Garden session with reporters, referring to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's accusations an hour earlier that the president was engaged in a cover-up of the Russia investigation. Again, what is he covering up? One thing for sure. You can say Mueller kind of went back and forth on the obstruction case, but one thing for sure that Mueller came down clear on its conclusion was that there was no conspiracy between Trump, the Trump campaign, or actually Mueller went further, or any American with the Russians to try to fix the 2016 election. So what's he covering up? Covering up Mueller's report. Mueller's report's public. Mueller said there was definitely no conspiracy, which the operative word being the word everybody uses, collusion. There was no collusion between the Trump campaign, Donald Trump, his kids, his family, and Russia. Period. So what's he covering up? The truth. The truth is out there. That's why the whole obstruction thing, in my opinion, falls flat out on his face. He wasn't obstructing anything. He just knew the people who were coming after him knew the truth and also knew he had nothing to do with Russia. They all knew that, but they were coming after him anyway. They were trying to destroy him, destroy the country, undo an election. It was like a mini coup d'etat, right? Right. And what was he supposed to do? Play nice with these people? These people were out to destroy the country, destroy our institutions. No, you don't play nice with people like that. Screw them. So. All right, so when she and Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer arrived at the White House for a scheduled meeting on infrastructure spending, the president instead told them that he can't work with them on any legislation while many Democrats are trying to impeach him. True. I've said from the beginning that you probably can't go down two tracks, the president told reporters. I walked into the room and I told Senator Charles Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, I want to do infrastructure. I want to do it more than you want to do it. But you can't do it under these circumstances. So get these phony investigations over with. H said the meeting lasted only a few minutes, and the president balked at shaking hands with the Democrats, instead confronting Pelosi about her accusation of a cover-up. Ms. Pelosi and Mr. Schumer, in their own response press conference, said despite their antipathy towards the president, they had gone to the White House expecting to work on the infrastructure. Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. Not when you accuse the president of a felony 1 hour before you're going to go have a meeting with him. Again, you couldn't wait till 4 hours, and then come out with that line. I mean, you're going there to work out a deal with this guy. You're going to, the White House, and, bullshit. So Mr. Schumer held up what he said was a 35-page infrastructure plan. He said what he was prepared to give to Mr. Trump, but he said the president wanted to blow the process up. Bullshit. She blew it up an hour before. He doubted Mr. Trump's explanation and Mrs. Pelosi's comments about cover-up sparked the fury. Of course it did. But he said Mr. Trump instead appeared to be looking for reasons to refuse to work together. Bullshit. He's been trying to work across the aisle since he got there. But they're the ones refusing to work with him. He had to do prison reform pretty much on his own. He had to drag them along kicking and screaming. He had to do the opportunity zones pretty much on his own. He's had to do immigration on his own. He's had no help from the Democrats, even though just a few years ago, Schumer and friends were making speeches saying the same thing that Trump is saying right now. It's clear that this was not a spontaneous move on the president's part. It was planned. Again, bullshit. Ms. Pelosi said the president just took a pass on working with them. Again, that's bullshit. I pray for the president of the United States. You know what? God isn't listening to her, okay? So her prayers are wasted. Mr. Schumer said the meeting at the White House would make your jaw drop. No, actually it doesn't. Try again the hour before. You don't accuse somebody of committing a felony and then think you can go and work with him. Mr. Trump recited his lengthy, unprecedented cooperation with Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, which found no collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign in 2016. Mr. Mueller didn't reach a conclusion on obstruction of justice, but Attorney General William Barr determined from the report that the president did engage in obstruction. And again, when Trump said they had unprecedented cooperation, they did. They turned over thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of documents. He allowed everybody to go and talk to Mueller. He did not claim executive privilege once. Not once, which would have been his right to do, especially with McGahn and several others. He didn't claim executive privilege once. Everybody got to go talk to him for as long as Mueller wanted to talk to him. There was no time limit. It wasn't like with Congress saying, "Okay, we're going to meet here and you can have 2 hours or 3 hours." Actually reading the Washington Times. Let's see who gave a link to the site where he reads. Yeah, it's actually the Washington Times. I'm actually reading from. It's actually an excellent newspaper. I subscribe to it. They have an e-newspaper as well. 3 newspapers I subscribe to: the Washington Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Examiner. They give really good investigative reporting and really good stories and straight up reporting. So if you don't have time, to sit down and read the old paper newspaper, they got these online. If you subscribe, you get some extra goodies to go along with it. Subscription rates are really inexpensive, very inexpensive, because it's electronic. It's internet newspaper, so it doesn't cost them a lot to put it online. So they don't charge you a lot for it. It's actually pretty nice. But anyway, so Trump cooperated fully. Again, he allowed everybody to testify as long as Mueller wanted them to testify to him. No problem. Didn't claim executive privilege once. And he says, and I've said this, I think a lot of people on the site have said this, what Trump says here: I am the most transparent president probably in the history of the country. Yeah, if you want to know what's on the president's mind, just check out Twitter. I mean, he doesn't focus group anything. If you ask him a question, he'll tell you what he's thinking. Sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth once in a while, but at least you know what he's thinking, and he's not like, gee, I wonder what he's thinking today, you know, that kind of thing. Let's see. So then Trump goes on to say, think of that, 500 witnesses, and then I gave Nancy Pelosi go. Then I have Nancy Pelosi go out and say that the president of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. We've had a House investigation. We've had a Senate investigation. We've had an investigation like nobody's ever had before. We did nothing wrong. They would have loved to have said we colluded. Well, of course, Mueller would have loved to have found something. Mueller hates Trump. I mean, he just despises the guy. And one thing I saw on from the House side, I think it was Collins, the ranking member of the House committee where Nadler sits, and he says, it's funny you guys keep wanting subpoena this, but one guy you haven't asked to come down is Mueller. Barr's already said he's not stopping Mueller from coming down and testifying. So why not just call Mueller? Are you afraid he might tell you to go F yourselves? I think that's what they're afraid of. I know what he's going to do when he gets up there. It's like they're going to start asking questions about his 448-page report. Mueller's going to turn to him and say, well, did you read it? Well, did you read this sentence? Did you read that sentence? And tell me if you didn't, what do you have a problem with? He's going to say, hey, man, did you read it? So, there's not much left for him to say. So because otherwise, how come they kept saying, oh, we're going to call Mueller, we're going to call Mueller. Well, Barr's already said, I'm not stopping Mueller from going. Just, get him on the phone. I don't know. Maybe they got him on the phone and Mueller told him to go F themselves. I don't know. Or maybe Mueller said, look, I'll show up, but I'll show up for an hour and a half, and that's about it. I don't want, I've done my job. I've served my country. I was in the Marine Corps. I've served my country in the FBI and the Department of Justice. I did this crappy job that you wrote me into that you didn't bother telling me all this crap about that I found out while I was in the middle of it. And I had to do the best I could with what I got. And, I'm done. I'm sure that's been the story. So Mr. Trump said with scorn, let them play their games. We're going to go down one track at a time, meaning that we're not going down two tracks. We're not going to, be on one hand having to deal with these stupid, phony investigations, which we've already done several of in the last 2.5 years, and at the same time trying to get some work done. Heading back into the White House, the president kept after the Democrats on social media, tweeting that Democrat leadership is tearing the United States apart. You can't investigate and legislate simultaneously. It just doesn't work that way, Trump said. He added on Twitter, I will continue to set records for the American people. And Nancy, thank you so much for your prayers. I know you truly mean it. I don't know. That might have been kind of a little shot to her. Former Trump attorney Michael Cohen is serving time in federal prison after he pled guilty to 8 federal crimes, including campaign finance violations related to payments to porn actress Stormy Daniels to cover up an alleged affair with Mr. Trump. Federal prosecutors said Cohen made those payments in coordination with and at the direction of Trump, an accusation the president consistently denied. The White House press conference was unusual and put Mr. Trump's showmanship on full display. White House officials told the entire press corps to gather for an impromptu event before leading reporters into the Rose Garden. A sign of the president's lecture rattled off stats on the Mueller probe, including 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witnesses, 675 days, and 18 angry Democrats. Not to mention, I believe there were 50 wiretaps approved also, and I believe 40 FBI agents assigned to the case, full-time FBI agents, and several. There was several international kind of agreements with foreign countries to get information from them as well. Mr. Trump held up a piece of paper to underscore those numbers, and White House staff later handed out copies to gather reporters. Key White House aides watched the entire spectacle from the wings, including Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, Counselor Kellyanne Conway, and Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I liked it. I like it a lot. So let's see what we got here. And kind of going along the same line here, here's a story also from the Washington Times. Trump's associates weigh defamation lawsuits over Russia probe. I don't blame them. I mean, these guys were accused of being Russian agents. I mean, they were accused of being in bed with the Russians. And we know from what we found out now about Papadopoulos, even if he told the Australian diplomat, hey, I heard that, the Russians, have these emails they're trying to, load them off on us. And even if he said that to this Australian guy, we know that he learned that from, 2 informants of the FBI / CIA / whoever that told him this story. These weren't like these weren't real people. I mean they were people, but I mean they weren't really acting on behalf of Russia. They're acting on behalf of the FBI, trying to set Papadopoulos up. Trying to give a reason for the FBI to actually begin a counterintelligence probe, which they were trying desperately to do. I mean, this was back in March of 2016. The FBI formal investigation, quote unquote, didn't start till July of, I think July 31st, actually, of 2016. So obviously, these informants were talking to the Trump campaign in March of 2016. They didn't just start the operation March like 15th and meet with somebody on March 16th. Obviously, hey, Steve Nichols, how you doing there? Let's see. So they were obviously starting this, way before March. So I mean, you're looking at probably. My guess is he came in second place in Iowa. That was, I want to say, February 1st. I think it was February 1st, because we know that Christopher Steele was vetted by the FBI on February 2nd. They was given a briefing. I forget what they call it. Let me see if I wrote it down somewhere. Let me see if I still have it. No, I think they call it like an admonishment, where they say, okay, you can't talk to the press, you can't do things like that. They do an initial interview. Now, the FBI talks to Steele on February 2nd. The Iowa caucus in 2016 was on February 1st. Trump comes in second place. Now, remember, Trump wasn't supposed to do anything. I remember watching the media talk about, when Trump went out to the Iowa fair, and they were shocked that so many people were running over to Trump, because remember, he gave helicopter rides to the kids and stuff. It's like, oh, I couldn't, the media was like, we can't believe all these people were out running around wanting to see Trump, because Clinton was there too, but nobody was like going to see her or anything. Everybody was running over to see Trump, and the media was kind of shocked and like in dismay about it. And they did. I remember they made fun of the fact that he, quote unquote, only came in second. Well, the media had him coming in zero, and he came in second place. So it looked like, potentially. And then remember, he went on to take New Hampshire. So they're like, oh shit. So this is when the FBI thinks, oh my God, this guy can actually do it. They probably saw some polling numbers prior to that as well, figuring this guy might have a shot, and we got to get rid of him. So again, if somebody's meeting with Papadopoulos in March, an FBI, CIA informant, that Joseph Mitford guy and his little honey pie, sex pot thing to try to, hit on Papadopoulos. If they're meeting with him in mid-March, trust me, this operation, they didn't just start. This operation had to be going on at least a month or 2 months prior to that. So you're talking possibly January. I heard some dates even possibly in December of 2015. And that's something. I mean, so here we go, trying to set up a campaign from an opposition party. And I'll say it again, these guys are all civil servants. I think it was McCabe. They were talking about firing, and remember the big story was, oh no, don't fire him, before don't fire him until after this date, so his pension is securely intact. That's a big deal with these guys. They want to make sure their pensions are intact. So again, these civil servants, there's no way in hell that they would have, quote unquote, spied, sent informants, and done espionage. Sending an informant is one thing. Like, an informant is just getting information, but sending somebody in to actually put in somebody's mind that, hey, do you want to buy, hacked Hillary Clinton emails from us? That's espionage. Okay, that's entrapment. On just a criminal scale. So that's more than just sending an informant. So they're actually beginning this operation, in March, which means they had to start it months before to put together a plan. And Joseph Mitford was the first point man, and then of course Stefan Halper comes in with, again, his honeypot, and he's been working with the CIA for years on and on. And as I said, I think my opinion on what they were trying to do, and it wasn't so much they were looking to unseat him after the election. I mean, to the point to where they said this is an insurance policy in case from some stupid, crazy chance he wins. But remember, Stefan Halper, and again, for all you Reagan fans out there, and I'm one of them, the first president I got to vote for was 1984 for Ronald Reagan. When I just turned I was 19. I wasn't able to vote in 1980. I was only 15, 16 years old. So, but in 1984 I got to vote for him. But remember, Stefan Halper worked in the Reagan campaign. And there was something called, and I had forgotten this myself, selective memory, I guess, something called DebateGate. Remember, Reagan and Jimmy Carter only had one debate, and Reagan kicked ass on that debate. I mean, he really kicked ass. There you go again, Jimmy. There you go again. That famous line. That's, and, look, and then in 1983, it turned out that Stefan Halper, somehow Jimmy Carter's notes about what he was going to say in the debate, all the preparation, the kind of game plan that they gave to Carter to prepare for the debate against Reagan. Somehow that ended up in Stefan Halper's hands, and somehow it ended up in the campaign of Ronald Reagan's hands. So Reagan's staff people had Jimmy Carter's playbook for that debate. So yeah, Reagan did a great job on the debate, but maybe he didn't do such a great job on his own. And so Stefan Halper was involved in that. It was him and a bunch of other former CIA, current CIA, NSA operatives who wanted Reagan to win. And the deep state came to the aid of Ronald Reagan. And that came out in 1983. And again, selective memory, I guess. I forgot all about it till I read about it just recently when they were talking about Stefan Halper, when I think it was the Washington Examiner was kind of giving you a background history into who this guy was. So my opinion, what they were really trying to do was to provide real-time intelligence to the Clinton campaign as far as, like, remember now, everything's on email, everything's text message, everything is, nothing's sent like by courier, nothing sent by, post office. There's not like, somebody, flying out with a big speech in his hand. Everything's sent by email, electronic eavesdropping. So by spying on these guys and doing electronic surveillance on these guys, they're able to get all their emails, all their text messages and stuff like that. So you got the campaign headquarters in New York City, and Trump's out there in the field. Well, they're sending, speeches and strategy planning and advertising and media campaign, all that's going over the airwaves. Well, their plan was to get access to all that and then feed it to the Clinton campaign. And they said, well, if you're going to do something like that, you have to be able to trust somebody that they're not going to dime you out. So you have to deal with somebody really sleazy. Well, remember, John Podesta was running the Clinton campaign. How much more sleazy can you get than that? So in my opinion, President Obama had to know about this because, again, there's no way in hell these civil servants would take a chance, risk their jobs, risk their pensions if they didn't have cover from the White House, specifically from the president himself. So my opinion is this information was going from the FBI through DOJ right to the White House, to the political arm of the White House, President Obama's White House, and then finding its way over to John Podesta and Hillary Clinton. Now, the reason why it wasn't so effective with Clinton was, one, Clinton was a bad candidate. Okay, so a lot of the stories would want her to get out front. She couldn't do a lot of campaign events. Remember, Michigan and Wisconsin, the local Democratic parties there were yelling and screaming to get Clinton out there to say, look, the numbers are showing this guy's catching up. He may even take these states. And the Clinton campaign was saying, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Well, the guys in the Clinton campaign were worried about it, but they couldn't do anything about it because of her health issues. Again, that's not a conspiracy theory. She was really unhealthy. So she couldn't get out to Michigan. She couldn't get out to Wisconsin. She couldn't do those kind of events, to change the tide. Because a lot of those states were only won by, 70,000 votes, 60,000 votes. So, a few campaign stops may have helped her in that cause. But she couldn't get out there. So when you had a bad candidate, so then any of the messaging they were getting from Trump, where they could then head off, like Trump's got a plan. Okay, tomorrow we're going to say this. Right, so Trump team is going to be saying this tomorrow. So you get your candidate, you say something to counter it before he says it, and then he can't even use it, or if he does, it looks like he's playing Johnny Come Lately. Well, the problem is you couldn't get Clinton out front to say all those things because she wasn't out there that much. And if you had a campaign person say it, well, that looked too devious, possibly, and possibly it would look too planned, and also it doesn't have the same meaning and get the same press. So that's the first problem they had. The second problem is President Trump, God bless him, doesn't follow his script. Drove me crazy during the 2016 campaign that he wasn't staying on message. He wasn't staying on script. So even if the New York office was sending Trump things, okay, you're going to say this, you're going to do this, or even during the debates, gave him a script to say what during the debate. Remember, Clinton looked very frustrated during the debates with Donald Trump. You know why she looked frustrated? Because she had Trump's playbook from the staff. She had the President Trump, okay, the staff prepared, this is what you're going to say during the debate, this is what you're not going to say during the debate, this is how you should answer these questions, these are how you should answer these questions, these are how you should answer these questions. Well, the Clinton campaign had all that. Well, unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us, Trump doesn't follow a script. You can't tell this man what to say. You can't tell this man what to do. He's just going to do his own freaking thing. He's like, tell the staff to go F themselves. So anyway, she has a playbook in front of him, and of course Trump is not following it. So it's driving her. So he's saying these things off the cuff. He's not saying anything that she thought he was supposed to say. And she'd give an answer, and he'd say something totally probably different. She'd be looking at him like, wait, you weren't supposed to say that. You were supposed to say this that I read about what you're supposed to say over here. And he wasn't. So their campaign had two problems. But anyway, and so then the insurance policy was, okay, in case he gets elected, we'll use this to try to either get him impeached, or maybe not even that bold, but maybe just to try to, saddle him with so many investigations, which they're now doing, that it paralyzes his administration. He can't get anything done. Well, they failed on that end too. I'll tell you why. Because again, Trump is like this workaholic nutcase. I mean, the guy sleeps like 4 hours a night. He's able to get all this stuff done. His poll numbers still show it a hard 45%. Which is excellent. And he's accomplishing all these things with unemployment, with business investment, with North Korea, with China, again the EU, South Korea, Japan, Mexico, Canada, etc. And he's able to get all these things done. So it hasn't paralyzed his administration. You think it would, but it hasn't. And so there's a couple. So their strategy fails on several different fronts, and that's one of them. But anyway, let's take a look at this story here. Again, live call-in number, area code 775-273-8970. And if you call in and I know you, we'll put you right on the air right away. If I don't know you, we'll get the zombie for a couple of seconds, but only a couple of seconds. But I like the zombie anyway, like I said, so no big deal. All right, so let's take a look. Trump associates weigh defamation lawsuits over Russia probe. And there's a picture of Michael Caputo. If you guys watch Fox News, which I do, and I know a lot of you do, you recognize him from, he's been on Tucker Carlson a lot. He's been on Sean Hannity as well. But anyway, here's a picture of former Donald Trump campaign official Michael Caputo, joined by his attorney Dennis Vacco, leaves after being interviewed by Senate Intelligence Committee staff investigating Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election on Capitol Hill in Washington Tuesday, May 1st. Okay, so by Rowan Scarborough of the Washington Times. Some Trump associates are contemplating lawsuits against the people who they believe defamed them in the Russia election collusion investigation. A possible roadmap. The successful lawsuit of wrongly suspected biological weapons scientist Stephen Hatfield, who accepted a multi-million-dollar settlement in 2008. Several former Trump campaign officials are in early discussions about lawsuits, which ultimately might not be filed given the significant cost. The targets would be government investigators, journalists, and Twitter users who have accused the Trump supporters of crimes in what they incorrectly said was a Moscow election conspiracy. And this is from Caputo. He says, "Some of us are talking as are our attorneys," which he told the Washington Times. Said another Trump-connected person, government entities and individuals subject to litigation are currently under review. Regarding the media, there are some old names pointing to leaks from law enforcement intelligence community, plus congressional committees and major media outlets. Special Counsel Robert Mueller's final Russia report found no conspiracy among Trump associates. Prime media targets such as former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort and volunteer George Papadopoulos essentially were cleared. Their conduct amounts to networking with some figures with ties to Russia, but not a conspiracy to interfere in the 2016 election. And the guys they were really talking to, who quote unquote had ties to Russia, were were FBI informants and spies. Manafort, now in prison on tax and bank fraud convictions, has threatened to sue the Guardian newspaper for false reporting that he secretly traveled to London in 2016 to meet with WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange. WikiLeaks published Democratic Party emails that Moscow had stolen. Representative Devin Nunes of California, the ranking Republican on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, has sued a Twitter user whom he accuses of falsely accusing him of crimes. Nunes became a prime target of the left after he began an investigation into a dossier financed by the Democratic Party. You remember, Nunes was the one pushing for that in the House. I mean, you had Judicial Watch doing a lot of work, but also on the House side, that was Nunes. And, of course, they were accusing him of being in bed with Trump and all this other shit. The document contained a host of discredited conspiracy charges against Trump associates sourced to unidentified Kremlin operatives. The prospective Trump plaintiffs are eyeing the case of Mr. Hatfield, an Army scientist wrongly suspected by the FBI in the 2001 anthrax mail attacks that killed 5 people. In 2008, Hatfield received a $4.6 million settlement in his lawsuit against the Justice Department. Very hard to win on those cases. Surprised he did. He accused the FBI of violating privacy laws by leaking information about him to the press. Mr. Hatfield, now 65, suffered from intense media and FBI scrutiny with accusatory news articles as well as bureau raids and wiretaps. Hatfield filed a libel lawsuit against the New York Times but lost. Judges ruled that he was a public figure and thus had to prove that the stories about him were wrong and that journalists showed malice in printing them. The Trump-Russia saga has no signs of ending for people who went to work for President Trump. Led by Democrats, 4 House committees are investigating all aspects of his life, including how he built his real estate empire and created the lucrative, iconic Trump brand. Yeah, again, that had nothing. That was all pre-election stuff. That was determined by the American people. It's called an election. Elections matter, but they want to do the election. They want to go back and investigate this guy who just happens to be president, who just happens to be a Republican. There's nobody else to look at, but we're going to look at him. Before Mr. Mueller releases no conspiracy report, a smattering of defamation lawsuits were aimed at journalists and the dossier writer, former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele. No plaintiff has won so far. Former Trump attorney Michael Cohen sued Hillary Clinton's opposition research firm, Fusion GPS, the dossier's paymaster. He also sued BuzzFeed, which published a document on January 10th, 2017. The dossier made a number of conspiracy charges against Cohen, headlined by an assertion that he traveled to Prague to orchestrate a cover-up. And he testified not only has he never been to Prague, not only did he not go to Prague to meet with any Russians, he's never been to Czechoslovakia. So the Mueller team concluded, the Czech Republic as it's now called. The Mueller team concluded that Cohen didn't go to Prague. Cohen dropped his lawsuit amid his own legal quagmire that eventually led to his guilty plea to tax and campaign finance laws. Carter Page, a former campaign volunteer, is acting as his own attorney. He sued Yahoo News, which wrote the first dossier story in September 16. Dossier accused Page of meeting with two cronies of Russian President Vladimir Putin and agreeing to bribes for sanctions relief. No proof surfaced in the Mueller investigation, and the judge dismissed the case. Page is also suing the Democratic National Committee, the FBI wiretap Page for a year. Gain more evidence. Page sent a May 19th letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray titled Second Request for Disclosure, accusing the DNC of obliteration of his reputation. Terror threats. Yeah, it's hard to win on these cases. I'm not going to go through all of this here. But yeah, it's hard to win on those cases. Those are tough things to win on. I got some illegal immigration stories to cover here as well. Prince George's County, PG County, admits sanctuary policy freed illegal immigrant before murder. I covered this the other night, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of covered just the start of the story. And this story's only gained traction as far as what actually happened. It's a pretty grotesque story. Hey, Southern Ninja, how you doing out there? Hey, Forbidden Information, how you doing, guys? Good seeing you guys in the chat. Grab some water real quick. And I'm going to grab a cigarette. Hold on. Yeah, I covered the story the other night, and it was really grotesque because pretty much, and you'll see in the story here, but what happened, good seeing Southern Ninja, but yeah, it was, I saw you on Axis site, I think it was Axis site this morning we were on. It was early for me because like 5 a.m. my time because he's on the East Coast. But yeah, I saw last night that he was going to be coming on early. He posted it early enough so we could all see it. But I figured, hey, I'm up early anyway. Let me just check out, see what he's doing. So it was kind of good seeing him on this morning. That was really good. But yeah, this story is pretty gross. And in fact, I posted this up on in his chat room this morning, in fact. And here we go, another sanctuary city, sanctuary county, sanctuary whatever. ICE sent a detainer request to these couple of guys. They're accused of attempted murder. And, Prince George's County, their Department of Corrections, they say, oh, well, they didn't tell them. They said, well, we weren't going to tell you because we didn't release them. We released them in juvenile custody. Well, you said you didn't tell us that. You didn't tell us anything. And sure enough, they got released from juvenile custody. They were afraid of getting burned on a case. So they killed this 14-year-old girl who was like a witness in it. I'm pretty sure the story's going to go on to say they beat her up with baseball bats to death and then hacked her up with a machete. Possibly while she was still alive with a machete as well. Really gruesome MS-13 kind of stuff, and their allegation that these are MS-13. So that was. I always, several of us are like Axe's original gangsters. We were with him from the very beginning when he had just a couple hundred subs and stuff. And so we always root for him. We always want to be there and stuff. And it's fun to be on his site too. He does things that nobody else. Like he said this morning when he said he does things nobody else does. It's totally true. I don't do what he does. I don't know anybody else who does what he does. He just has a way of doing it, and it's enjoyable. It's fun. Even at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's fun to watch. As long as I have my coffee, I'm happy. Coffee and cigarettes, I'm good. But yeah, it was fun. I actually was kind of nice that he was on that early because I get up early, I try to get some things done and before I go into work. And so I generally watch Mark Dice in the morning and Styxhammer in the morning. And so, those are the Mark comes on at 5 a.m. my time, and Styx generally comes on a little after 6 a.m. my time. So it's nice having, Mark Dice, Styxhammer, and Axe on in the morning. So I think I should, send him an email. Yeah, do more like 4 a.m. shows. We'll watch you on the West Coast. One guy wrote he was on the East Coast. He said he was going to go to bed, and then he saw he was coming on at 4, so he just stayed up. Like, that must have been pretty gruesome. Yeah, kind of funny. But anyway, so let's go to this story. Prince George's County, this is in Maryland, admits sanctuary policy freed illegal immigrant before murder. This is again by Stephen Dine in the Washington Times. Prince George's County has admitted it did defy an ICE detainer and released an immigrant living in the U.S. illegally who had been accused of attempted murder, only to see the teen implicated in a horrific gang-related killing last month. A spokesman for the county corrections department said Wednesday released the alleged MS-13 gang member onto the streets. Andrew Cephas retracted his statement on Tuesday that the department transferred custody of the teen to the state. Yeah, okay. Cephas also retracted his claim that the county notifies U.S. Immigration and Customs of impending releases. He said Wednesday that the county doesn't notify ICE except for the most serious crimes. Well, I think attempt murder, I think that kind of counts. You know, like in my case, it's a Cat B felony. I believe that's 2 to 20. That's the second highest tier of crimes you can commit in my state. The only crimes higher are Cat A felonies. They come with generally life in prison. So, yeah, Cat B felony from my state. Yeah, that's a pretty serious crime. Attempt murder. Yeah, you're trying to. I mean, you're trying to. It's not just you hit somebody. You showed intent to actually want to kill them. So, So I mean, just another bunch of bullshit. That's all. I mean, we have criminals of our own in this country, that we have to deal with, and that's bad enough. But we don't need to import others, and have them commit crimes in this country. Our law enforcement stretched thin enough. We don't need to have any other people coming over here committing more crimes, especially people who join MS-13. Let's see. So, Joel Ernesto Escobar has been charged with attempted murder. Had been charged with attempted murder in 2018, but was convicted of only conspiracy to commit robbery. Cephas said that wasn't serious enough. Wow, to make him a priority for the county to turn over for deportation. What priority? Just turn him over. Like, did it cost you anything to turn him over? No. It's just one of those, liberal social justice warrior policies. Oh, we're not gonna deport anybody. Everybody can just stay. They can all stay for free. No big deal. We got plenty of money. Let's just spend it all. We're not gonna take care of our own people. We're just gonna, let these people stay and just keep coming and don't turn them over. Just a bunch of assholes. Okay. Thanks to Prince George's County sanctuary policy, Mr. Escobar, 17, was free in the U.S. last month when police say he, 16-year-old Jose Fuentes Ponce, and a 14-year-old Cynthia Hernandez Nucamendi killed a 14-year-old girl who they feared would snitch about a gang robbery. Authorities say the teens are associated with MS-13. The authorities in Prince George's County share culpability for this murder, said Mark Kukorian, executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies. They're accomplices in a sense. I think in more than a sense. I think in a direct sense. Here's a guy they know has a detainer that can be deported right now. He just, pled guilty. It was a plea bargain. I'm a defense attorney. I know what plea bargains are. But he was charged with attempted murder. Fuentes Ponce and Mr. Escobar were first charged with attempted murder last year. The Prince George County Department of Corrections held both at one point, then transferred them to state juvenile facility. Fuentes Ponce was released from the state Cheltenham Youth Detention Center, while Mr. Escobar was sentenced to time-served release to Prince George's County, and then released him into the community. Yeah, like placed on probation or something. ICE had asked to be notified of the releases, but the county refused. The Department of Corrections follows the guidance memorandum of the Maryland Attorney General to not inform the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency of individuals being released with a detainer, which is a civil matter. No, it's a criminal matter. These are criminals. Mr. Cephas said, adding that there are exceptions for serious crimes, but the attempted murder charges didn't qualify. Yeah, see, a bunch of crap. ICE this week said it should have been notified of both releases. I said it should have been notified of both releases, including Mr. Fuentes Ponce's to the state, so it could track them. Mr. Cephas said that wasn't necessary, as he said the detainer stays with the individual in the system no matter where they are transferred. Because of this, the Department of Corrections had no responsibility. I mean, pick up the phone. It's an email. It's a text message. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. Of informing ICE that the individuals will transferred and no new detainer needed to be filed, he said Wednesday. The state disagreed. Eric Solomon, spokesman for the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services, said that while it housed Escobar, he was never in its custody since he was being charged. He was being charged as an adult. He remained in the custody of Prince George's County and was released by the county. As for Mr. Fuentes Ponce, his case was remanded to the juvenile system by a judge, and he was ordered released by the court. Solomon said that while juvenile services were aware of the detainer, it was a court that carried out the release. An ICE official said that regardless of the communication and definition, someone should have notified the agency when the teens were released last year. Again, how hard is that? Text, email, phone call. No big deal. The teens are charged with murder and the death of Arian Funes Diaz, who authorities say was beaten with a bat and chopped up with a machete. Her body was found earlier this month in a creek in Riverdale. That's pretty gruesome. 14-year-old kid. The teen's case was the crux of much of the immigration debate. Escobar came to the U.S. from El Salvador in 2016. 2016, who was president? President Obama. In 2016, as an unaccompanied alien child, UAC, and was released to family already in the States. UACs from Central America have surged to the border over the past 5 years. Meanwhile, Mr. Fuentes Ponce came to the U.S. from El Salvador in late 2015 along with a parent. Because of lax policies, they were quickly released and had to come back for deportation hearing in 2017. Let's see. Like many other immigrant families who are living in the U.S. illegally, they didn't show and were ordered deported in absentia. Gee, big surprise. They didn't show for their deportation hearing to prove that they should be allowed to stay. Oh, that never happened, so they were ordered deported in absentia. ICE never picked them up, leaving Mr. Escobar out on the streets for last year's attempted murder, I don't know what that word is, robbery, and this last month's alleged gang slaying. Yeah, because they were never informed. They don't have guys who can sit out every detention facility and just wait to see if somebody shows up. All right, and then as far as staying on the immigration topic, here this is from immigrationreform.com. I also subscribe to that. It's a online site regarding immigration issues. I get their notifications. Actually, pretty good stories on there. Pretty good writers. This one's by Spencer Raley. It's worth looking at. Excuse me a second. Let me grab another cigarette. Again, live call-in show, area code 775-273-8970. And if you want to appear by video, let's see, where are we here? You want to appear by video call, it's very easy to do. If you and I have emailed back in forth in the past, just put in the chat, hey, I want to appear by video call, and I'll email you a link. If we haven't communicated by email in the past, just shoot me an email to ca2jogger@gmail.com. I send you a reply with the link. It's real simple. You just hit the link, type in your username, and hit join call. I take care of the rest on this end. It's real simple. You'll see a little camera show up on your phone or your laptop or desktop, and then, within a couple of seconds, you're in. Again, I take care of everything on this end. So pretty much all you do is just type in username, click join call, and you're in. So it's pretty simple, actually. Ask Effie. She did it. It's really simple. And Douchebag, he's a great douchebag. He's done it as well. Haven't done a panel show in a while. Keep meaning to get one started. It's been real busy at work lately. So it's kind of, to get one of those set up, you got to send out the emails early, so you can be there and stuff. Basically send out a bunch of emails, and, whoever can do it, then you shoot out the links to them and stuff like that. So it's kind of thing. It takes a few minutes to set up, is what I'm trying to say. So, I haven't done that in a while. But anyway, let's take a look at this story. $150 billion drain on the U.S. economy, by Spencer Raley of the writing for immigrationreform.com. This is going to talk about remittances. A little talked about byproduct of mass immigration. So can you guys see that? Is that big enough? Let me double check. Yeah, okay, good. A little talked about byproduct of mass immigration to the United States is the staggering amount of money that leaves the economy every year through remittances. The term remittance refers to money that is earned in the United States but is then transferred to family members, friends, or business associates who live abroad. Most commonly, these transfers originate from foreign-born workers or those U.S. citizens who still have family residing in another country. And what happens in Mexico is that, since it's going through state-owned banks, the Mexican government takes a cut of it. So before it even gets to the family members, the Mexican government grabs the money. In fact, I think one report showed that they get more money in Mexico from the remittances than they get from their own exporting of their oil, from their oil industry. So it's actually one of the top income earners for the country of Mexico. I think it's tourism, something else. I think it goes like agriculture, tourism, then remittances, then their oil industry. So without remittances, Mexico would be in pretty sad shape. A recent study by the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, found that the United States remits approximately $150 billion to other countries each year. In stark contrast, the United States receives only $6.6 billion from other countries, leading to a total remittance deficit in the amount of nearly $145 billion annually. FAIR reached this figure by examining the most recent bilateral remittance data released by the World Bank. Mexico receives the most in remittance payments, by far, almost doubling that amount that gets sent to China. The second highest recipient consists of what's known as the Northern Triangle of Central American countries, to wit, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Those three countries receive a combined total of more than $16 billion. These three countries rely so heavily on remittances to the extent that between 10 to 20% of their total GDP 10 to 20% of their total GDP are made up of these payments. Well, if you watch Tucker Carlson, you know that 1/3 of all El Salvadorians in the world live inside the United States. So 1/3 of El Salvador currently resides inside the United States. Crazy. The study also notes that roughly $28 billion in remittances stem from illegal aliens who are currently working in the United States without our authorization. Those remittances impact local businesses the hardest because those consumers who send their earnings to other countries obviously decrease the amount they can spend domestically. Right. So in other words, here they are working in this country, using our services in the counties and the state and the feds, and instead of using that money to, like, say, buy stuff in local stores or consume things here and then pay sales taxes on it, which then go to county for county sales tax revenue to build roads, highways, hospitals, whatever. Instead of consuming it here, they're shooting it, or even, you can even mistake them. I mean, illegal aliens can actually have bank accounts. I know that's crazy, but they can. But instead of being mistaken to the bank, where the bank can use the loan money, no, instead they send it back to Mexico to boost up their economy, which is why you understand why Mexico encourages illegal aliens to go to the United States. Because they're sending foreign workers to go up there, get money, and send it back. That's pretty much that. Well, that is their plan. It's not pretty much their plan. That's their plan. So anyway, let's see. Those remittances impact local businesses the hardest because those consumers who send their earnings to other countries obviously decrease the amount they can spend domestically. Furthermore, it harms state and local governments, as I was just saying, as well, since they will not be receiving the sales or consumption taxes that would result if remittance payments were instead spent in local economies on goods and services. So while those who send a good portion of their paycheck abroad still take part in publicly funded services, in other words, they still use the publicly funded services like public education, roads, emergency services, ambulance, fire department, police, they pay less in the sales and excise taxes that commonly fund these programs. Right, generally at the county level, that's most of the income for the county comes from sales taxes, whether you're housing sales, automobile sales, just going to Walmart sales, going to the gas station sales, that kind of stuff. Remittances are almost entirely a net loss to the U.S. economy. So while the discussion on whether or not money sent abroad by immigrants should be taxed or limited is a highly controversial topic, it's a fact that the practice leads to billions of dollars leaving the U.S. economy every year. It's important that the economic impacts of remittances on U.S. citizens be considered when discussing whether or not it's wise to continually increase the number of foreign-born workers flowing to the United States. Right, so you got all these workers coming up here, and you say, well, gee, they're working, they're buying this, they're paying taxes. Well, not really. They send a lot of the money back home to Mexico. Let's see what we got here. Let's cover this story here. This one I'm going to cover because I'm pissed off because I live in the state of Nevada, and we were a red state up until 2019, till this year, the 2018 election. We lost the assembly, the state assembly, and the state senate back in 2017 to after the 2016 election. But we still had the governorship. We still had the Republican as the governor, so he could veto anything crazy the Democrats were going to do, and they didn't have enough votes to override a veto. So they actually didn't do too much. They talked about doing a lot of crazy stuff, and then in this last election, they gained more seats in the state senate, they gained more seats in the assembly, and they picked up the governor, Governor Steve Sisolak, who is Anyway, but the main reason, and we talked about this before, is You have a lot of people from California, kind of like a virus. They screwed up their state. They voted for Democrats. They voted for these Democrat policies. They bankrupted their states. Crime is awful. Housing prices are through the roof because they have all these environmental things that keep you from, building in certain areas. They have a lack of water, which also prohibits a lot of building. That creates a shortage of supply of housing with increased demand, increased population, creates a huge increase in prices. That's economics 101. Then you add to that they have the highest gasoline tax in the country. But what they did is years ago, in order to get money to pay for Medicaid for illegal aliens, et cetera, they took that money, instead of being used directly for infrastructure like highways, roads, bridges, that kind of stuff, they diverted that money into the general fund. So all the gasoline tax doesn't go to build new highways or expand highways or even rail technology or anything. It goes into the general fund where it gets lost. And I mean, it gets really lost. And of course, they're a sanctuary state. They love illegal aliens. Free Medicaid, free services, free everything for everybody. And unfortunately, they're squeezing out the middle class. So they don't want to live there anymore. So what do? They move. Well, I'd prefer they just move into the Pacific Ocean, actually. But instead of going, west, they go east. And where do they end up? They end up in places like Idaho. They end up in places like Washington. They end up in places like Nevada, where I live. And they're heading for Texas. Somebody told me that the cost of like a U-Haul truck, it costs 3 times as much to take a U-Haul truck from California to Texas as it does from Texas to California. Because that's just because, if you have a lot of demand for trucks going from California to Texas, you have to pay somebody to drive the truck back to California. So that's why they charge you so little if you're actually moving from Texas to California, because you're doing the driving for them. But what's going on now is just crazy, because what they're doing when they move to these states, they don't sit there and go, oh wow, we voted the wrong way all these years. We got all these Democrats in power and they really ruined our state, and these policies, they're bad policies. We shouldn't be good. We shouldn't be doing that. Because we want to move to these states like Nevada and Texas. They don't have an income tax. They're pro-business. They're low crime. They have a lot of. They're very good on gun laws, meaning that we don't have a lot of them, unlike California. So criminals know that most people are armed, and most people are armed in their house, and so you don't have a lot of the same kind of crimes you have in California. We have in California a lot of, midnight break into people's houses, strong-arm robberies while people are in bed. You don't get a lot of that in a lot of states where a lot of people own guns, because the criminals don't want to take a chance of going into a house knowing they could get shot. But in California, they're so restrictive on who can own guns, and a lot of the people there are like, "Yay, guns are bad. We shouldn't own guns. Oh, we just love people, and people love us." Well, you may be down with the cause, but the guy coming in your house at midnight, I guarantee you, he's not down with the cause. The only cause he's down with is, killing you, raping you, robbing you, beating you up. And if you don't have a gun, I'm sorry, you got some guy who works out in the prison yard 3 hours a day, and you just do the right thing by like raising a family, going to work every day. You don't spend 3 hours in the gym and another 3 hours learning karate. I'm sorry, even if it's a one-on-one, you're going to lose that fight. But if you have a gun, as the saying goes, God made all men. Sam Colt made them all equal. Now, if you have a gun, even if he has a gun, at least you're on an equal footing. And if he doesn't have a gun, you're on a more than equal footing. But, California, it's like, oh, we love people. We don't like guns. Guns are bad. Guns are evil. Well, these criminals know that, and they prey on these people. I mean, I've seen video after video after video. People have these, cameras set up inside their houses, and they're great for showing exactly how the robbery went down, and how they got injured or how they got shot. But, if they invested money in a gun instead and took some good training classes, maybe there wouldn't be a video of them, getting killed. There'd be a video of them, like, killing the perpetrator. But anyway, so they go to these states like Nevada, like my state, and what do when they get here? Instead of saying, gee, we voted wrong all these years, no, they come over here and they vote Democrat. They turn good red states blue. They just did that to ours. And of course, and then they all kind of, stay in one place, because, the Democrats have to stay like in the Democrat ghetto. And that's, in this case, that's Las Vegas. The whole rest of the state votes red, and, Clark County, Las Vegas votes blue. And that's where they are. And, and down there, you see a lot of home invasion robberies, strong-arm robberies, while people are home. You don't see that in a lot of other places in the state of Nevada, and you just don't. Why? Because we're all armed. I mean, even liberals I know who live in, like, the rural counties, like where I live, they're armed too. They have guns. So criminals know that. But in Vegas, like, oh, we're just all from California. We don't believe in guns. And the criminal's like, oh, good, yeah, neither do I, except for this one. This gun I believe in, and this gun I'm robbing you with, And so anyway, so they turn my state blue. So that's why I'm pissed. I mean, I'm really pissed. You have no idea how pissed I am. But anyway, I'll continue on with this story. And so, anyway, as a result of this, Nevada, we just became one of those stupid states that just passed a national popular vote bill in bid to upend Electoral College. Yes, my state, which was red till just like literally this year, red on the governor and red on the Assembly and Senate until 2 years ago, and then just year turned blue. And so what do? They passed a gun control bill. Now they're passing this stupid thing. Anyway, let's read on. Valerie Richardson of the Washington Times. The Nevada Senate approved Tuesday a national popular vote bill on a party line vote, sending the legislation aimed at upending the Electoral College to the governor. Assembly, which of course he'll sign because he's an idiot. Anyway, Assembly Bill 186, which passed the Senate on a 12-day vote, would bring Nevada into the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, an agreement between participating states to cast their electoral votes for the winner of the popular vote. If signed, as expected, by Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak, Nevada would become the 16th jurisdiction to join the compact, along with 14 states and the District of Columbia. The compact would take effect after states totaling 270 electoral votes, and with Nevada, that would reach a total of 195 electoral votes. While the effort has been billed by organizers as bipartisan, no, it's not. Trust me. Democrats have embraced the NPV. Again, that stands for National Popular Vote, whatever, in the aftermath of President Trump's 2016 victory, which saw the Republican win the electoral vote but not the popular vote. So, yes. So 230 years of us being a country, 230 years of our elections going along with the Electoral College so that states don't become flyover states, so that people running for president have to go to each state and listen to their issues and address their concerns once they get elected. No, we're going to change all that so that, people like President Trump, God bless him, if it was a popular vote, you think he would have gone to Nevada? No. Think he would have gone to Oklahoma? No. I'd say he would have gone to Texas, Florida, New York, California. Okay? That's where he would have been campaigning hottest and heavy. You think he would have gone to Michigan or Wisconsin? No. Of course not. Why would you go there? Nobody lives there. I mean, not compared to like California or New York. Okay? I mean, or Florida. That's why they set it up like that. It was because they wanted to make sure that the states had a say. That's why every state gets 2 senators, regardless of population, so that the politicians have to pay attention to the state's issues. So they have to pay attention to the whole region. The founding fathers were afraid of democracy in as much as they were afraid of the whole 51% wins. Okay, because they were afraid that 50.1% could be the tyranny of the majority over the other 49.9% of the country. They were afraid of that. Okay, that's why they created the Electoral College. They wanted to make sure that politicians running for office would have to, at a minimum at least, and this is cynical, pander to the interests of certain states, of each state, in order to get elected, and at least address their concerns. So no state would feel left behind. Not one state would feel like, oh, nobody pays attention to us, we're not part of the system, and then kind of act on the outside of the system. And people who are not in the tent, who are outside the tent, those are people you have to be careful about. And they had just done a revolution, okay? They just did one. They know about revolution. They know about being radicals, and they didn't want to see their country, create a whole group of dissidents in certain states where the politicians wouldn't be paying attention to them because they didn't need their votes to win. That's why it hands the Electoral College. But these people say, Trump won, we're pissed off, we hate Trump, so we're just going to upend the republic that, again, the longest-lasting single form of government in the history of the Western world is the United States of America. Okay, we're in first place on that, 230 years and going strong. But no, let's just upend all that because we didn't like the last election. I mean, how stupid is that? Anyway. Leftist groups like Common Cause, Indivisible, and Public Citizen, I think Common Cause is owned, funded by George Soros, cheered the Nevada vote. The movement to abolish the Electoral College is winning, tweeted Public Citizen. Yeah, and the just about all the candidates in the Democratic primary race are all in favor of getting rid of the Electoral College. It's like, hey, you lost one election. Relax. Okay, last time I remember, you won in 2008 and 2012 from the Electoral College. Okay, it's okay. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Again, this country has lasted 230 years with this system in place, so you don't have a tyranny of the majority. Well, no, let's get rid of that because we don't like Donald Trump. A bunch of crybabies. The MPB would not eliminate the Electoral College, but would render it irrelevant by requiring electors to vote for the national vote winner instead of the candidate capturing the most votes in their states. Supporters argue that it would shift the focus of presidential elections away from a handful of swing states, while critics say it would concentrate power in states like California and New York with the largest population centers. Obviously, it would. If we go to a national popular vote, why would they even bother coming here? Our Constitution says we're a republic, not a democracy, said Nevada Assemblyman Jim Wheeler during last month's debate. I voted no on the popular vote because I don't want Nevada to be a flyover state. Yeah, exactly. My state, Nevada, we'd be a flyover state. Okay, as they're coming in for landing in LAX, they might look down and see the desert and go, "Oh, where's that? Oh, that used to be Nevada, sir." Anyway. Let's see, some tweets. Let's see, here we go. Oh, I like this. I'm going to put this up here. Here's a map this is by James Settlemeyer of Nevada. He writes, AB 186 would nullify Nevadans' vote in the Electoral College. It will be my pleasure to vote no to giving Nevadans votes to New York City. So basically he says this would be the new map for the election. This is how politicians would look at the United States when it came to going out and getting votes and campaigning. There's like huge California taking up all the space, and all the little states are in color there. And then you got Texas, New York, and Florida. And then all these little bitty states, like you see down there, Louisiana, Arkansas, and there's Nevada right there, and Arizona, and stuff. And pretty much saying, look, we're going to get ignored. And that's not what the founders wanted, because, again, the founders were concerned that you would have a tyranny of the majority. At least this way, these candidates have to go out to these states to pick up these votes. Okay, to pick up the state electoral college votes. Like Nevada, we're only 6 electoral votes, but, 6 electoral votes, that could make the difference. 2000, Nevada could have changed the outcome of the election easily. But the votes that, in other words, how much time you're going to put into campaigning in a state where there's not a lot of popular votes versus you put the same amount of time into a state where, if you go to a city like L.A. and there's like, 4 million people living in and around L.A., versus you go to, say, even Las Vegas, where at most you got maybe 2 million people living. Well, how much time do you have to campaign? How much money are you going to spend? And, what's the benefit? And Democrats better watch out, because, again, if it is a popular vote issue, and I can't see how this gets held to be constitutional, because even though it's not undoing the Electoral College, it is making it irrelevant, and I think the Supreme Court would come down and say, well, look, if you want to do that, fine, but have a constitutional amendment. Because if you're going to pretty much nullify the Electoral College by doing it this backdoor way, we're going to look past form and go right to substance. I was hearing something going dink, dink, dink. I was thinking maybe it was a phone or something. Somebody trying to call in or something? Because it sounded like I heard some kind of noise here. Let's see. Nope. Okay. Sorry, I just got a little noise here in the headset. So it was like, what was that? But anyway, let me grab another cigarette. So basically, yeah. So, I mean, I can't see how the Supreme Court, if they looked at this, wanted rule this to be unconstitutional. Nobody really has, I don't think anybody really has standing to bring an action now to get to the Supreme Court, because, in other words, they haven't done anything. I mean, we're passing this bill. In other words, does it have an effect yet? Is it ripe, is the legal term? Is the bill ripe yet to be heard by, like, say, a U.S. District Court, and then onto an appellate court, then onto a Supreme Court? Only if it changes the outcome of an election, then I guess it would be ripe, and somebody would have standing, like, say, the person who loses the election. But that'd be a big mess, though. I mean, think about it. I mean, say somebody loses an election based on the fact that these states voted a certain way versus how they were supposed to vote in the Electoral College. Well, then the person files an injunction in the U.S. District Court, and hopefully you'd like to think this finds its way up to the Supreme Court by the time of the inauguration. But imagine that somebody who's declared a winner, or, well, actually not declared a winner, but the media declares him a winner. The person doesn't concede, files an action in the U.S. District Court, and this proceeds to work its way through the court system, a la 2000. Remember what a mess that was? So, I mean, that's what this thing's setting it up for. Now, the good news is most of the states doing this would probably go blue anyway. Like Nevada, we went for Hillary Clinton, and not me, but the state did, Most of the states signing on to this, like Colorado, were blue states in the 2016 election. The only problem with that is that some of these states might turn red. There are people who vote in those states who might be voting for President Trump, and if this thing goes through, then potentially the state electors would be committed to having to vote for the Democrat. regardless, even if the Democrats took more popular votes across the country. So, and what also is going to do is going to make any candidate running like 1 foot in the Electoral College map, 1 foot in the population map. Like, where do I campaign? Where do I split my time? So it's going to be really tough on the candidates. Well, we don't know the outcome of a court decision because it hasn't been filed in court yet, and you can't just write to the Supreme Court. Hey, can you give us an opinion on how you're going to rule in the future? It ain't gonna they won't do it. So you're kind of stuck. But let's continue on with the story. Yeah, I agree, Southern Ninja. Hillary, ugh. All right, so let's see here. Colorado, Delaware, and New Mexico joined the compact in the 2019 legislative session, and other Democrat-controlled states are poised to follow. Last week, the Maine Senate approved an NPV bill sending it to the House. The Oregon bill has been approved by the Senate, and a House committee held a hearing Monday on the measure. Jeez. Just amazing. Okay. And the call-in number is area code 775-273-8970. So the next story, this is, of course, President Trump in bed with the Russian oligarchs and President Putin. The guy's done everything that would piss Putin off. Trump gave an interview, I think it was to Steve Hilton. I didn't get to see the whole interview, but he gave an interview to Steve Hilton, who does that show on Fox on Sunday nights. And he was saying the Russians, Putin would have much preferred Hillary Clinton. And he's right, because let's be honest, the Clinton family was already bought and paid for. I mean, the Russians have been able to pay off the Clintons for years. I mean, they wanted that uranium deal to go through. What do? They brought Billy over to give a bunch of speeches and paid him millions of dollars to give like 20-minute speeches. And nobody thought there was anything wrong with that. And then suddenly the uranium deal goes through. The Secretary of State signs off on it. Gee, go figure. It's like, and then the Canadian firm was also involved in that. And guess what? Guess who gets invited to Canada to give a bunch of speeches, 20-minute, 30-minute speeches nobody wants to listen to, and gets paid millions of dollars for that? Bill Clinton. And then the Russians also give what, like 150. This guy gave 150 million dollars to the Clinton Foundation. Well, that foundation is the most crooked foundation there is. I think only like 20% of the money in the foundation actually goes to help people. It's like 80% administration fees. Well, administration fees means Chelsea, Hillary, and Bill. They get paid a shitload of money from that deal. So you're talking like $150 million comes in. They're picking up, the three of them picking up, like, say, not 80%, they have staff, but say they pick up even 40%. 40% of 150 million is what, 60 million bucks? That's not a little bad payoff. So, Trump is, like, as I discussed earlier, Trump's been really hard on Russia. Trump's been really hard on Putin. Trump has done things that doesn't make Putin happy. But yet he's supposed to be in bed with the Russians. A bunch of nonsense. Here's a story. U.S. Navy sends a message to Russia with the Second Fleet's Baltic operations. First mission back at sea lead NATO exercises. Go ahead and get to this. By Carlos Muniz of the Washington Times. The venerable, reborn Second Fleet is embarking on its first major mission into the North Atlantic less than 6 months after the Navy recommissioned it to counter what the Pentagon says is steadily rising Russian aggression. Yeah, it's funny. We got a phone call coming in. Please hold on. Hey everybody, back again. I guess the person didn't like the zombie when they realized they weren't going to be on air. They didn't want to talk. So, because I said hello, they go, Carl? I go, yep. And they must have looked at the screen, saw the zombie, and realized they weren't on. Well, like I said, if you call in and I don't know you, if you think I'm just going to let you put something nasty on YouTube, you're insane. And then try to, what, then tell YouTube, oh, look at these far right people. Look at the nasty stuff they say there. Oh, you need to get rid of these right wingers because look at the nasty stuff they say. And these are all leftists calling. You got to understand that. And then they say, oh, look at these terrible right wing people, you know. So yeah, we're not. Hey, you know what? We're not stupid, okay? No, remember, we're the conservatives. We're the smart ones. Sorry, but anyway. So hope you guys enjoyed the zombie. I personally like the zombie. You know, I like it. I think it's cool. So hope you guys enjoyed the zombie for a couple of minutes. And once this person realized they weren't going to be on air, and then we're going to put their filth and disgustingness and leftist sinful propaganda BS. I'm trying to think of some really ugly words. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, so yeah. But anyway, I hope you liked it. So anyway, let's get back to this story. And I see a message here from wait, Shonda, was that you? Okay, Shonda, hold on. Put your area code in the chat room. Put your area code in the chat room. Just your area code. Don't put your phone number. Just put your area code in the chat room. Let's see. Let's see if that was you. If that was you, I can call you back. Just put your area code. Hold on. That would be too funny. Let's see here. Yeah, just put your area code in there. I'll give you a call right back. Okay, Shonda, I'm going to call you right now, okay? All right. Poor Shonda. She's like, no, I'm not a troll. I'm not a troll. Dun, 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 dun.
I'm sorry, the person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
All right, Shonda. Just tried calling you back. Let's see. So I will try again. Okay. All right. Let's try one more time. Dun, 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 dun.
Hey.
Hey, is this Shonda?
Yeah.
Hey, how you
This
doing,
is
young
Shonda.
lady?
Oh, I'm doing okay, sir. It's okay. I tried to email you.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I did you
Yes,
got to put in
sir.
the chat. Oh, there you are. I see you. Okay, yeah. Just put in the chat that you have it cuz I don't leave that window open. Yeah, I don't leave it open. So, you know, unless I see in the chat that you send me an email, I won't see it. So, but I'll definitely get you next time for sure.
I'm sorry, Carl. I really am.
Well, what are you sorry about? What? What are you sorry about? Stop it. So, hey, what's on your mind, young
It's
lady?
just,
What do you want to tell the whole
well,
world?
oh, the whole world and what I think about all this?
Yeah, tell me.
Well, I've been telling every other people that two parties are really dividing us. And we
Okay.
just need one, you know.
What, just like one political party?
Yeah. Because we don't need to have two parties going at the same time.
Well, I'm not sure how we actually accomplish that, though. That's kind of the hard part.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yes,
have.
it is. I wish we can just.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, sir.
No, the founding fathers didn't want political parties. They hated the idea. And I interviewed somebody about that when I was at the Chili Cook-Off, who's a pretty good historian on the founding fathers. The problem is, though, people just naturally fall into factions. You know, you have leaders and you have followers and people who follow leaders and that kind of stuff. And they really had a. If you look at the way the Constitution is written, too, it doesn't really allow for political parties. And it's really antithetical to the Constitution. It hurts it because, like, the president, vice president, president who gets the most electoral college votes initially, and the vice president would be who gets the second most. So that has nothing to do with political parties, whereas the political parties nominate somebody to run for president and nominate somebody to run for vice president. So, you know, you're voting for the, you know, one ticket, the president and the vice president.
One ticket, the president and the vice president.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I understand. And then you got some Beto O'Rourke saying everything's going to go underneath the water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, even Biden
the
said that.
Hand guy where he's moving his hands and somebody's just pulling his strings.
Yeah, like, oh, my God. Yeah, like, howdy doody. Oh, my God. I think you just created a new meme. You just did it. Shonda. Oh, wait. You're a graphic designer. Oh, shit. You could do this. Can you do a howdy doody Beto O'Rourke meme? Can you do that?
Can I do what?
Okay, you're a graphic designer, right?
Yeah.
You can create like a meme, like a cartoon, you know, like howdy doody.
Yes, I sure can.
Superimposed like on Beto O'Rourke. So Beto O'Rourke looks like howdy.
I can make a cartoon walk or dance.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I'll definitely put it up.
And talk.
Yeah, well, you have your own channel. You can put it on your channel. That'd be cool. I'll watch that.
Yeah, I make some short videos.
Well,
I saw one of Donald Trump.
Go ahead.
I made one of Donald Trump with Putin where there's no collusion.
Did you do any graphics and stuff, cartoons and shit?
Yeah, it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon in it. And then I did AOC, her dancing around with my boy.
Oh my God! Oh shit! Okay, I'm pretty sure I subbed to your site. Let me double check. It's just Shonda, right? I mean Shonda Graphics.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure I subbed over Shonda Graphic Designer. If I didn't, I'll make sure I do. But I'm pretty sure I did when I made you a moderator. I'm pretty sure I subbed over there. So, but definitely, yeah, do a howdy doody one with Beto O'Rourke. I definitely want to see that. That'll be worth looking at.
Oh man. So a howdy doody.
Right.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's for us older people, you know, like me. You know, well, that's even past my age, but still, like from the 50s and early 60s. And but yeah, he does kind of look like that howdy doody look, and with his hands always moving around, like you said. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, the two-party system, it's a real killer. It's hard to get that people splitting into groups. People naturally want to be like tribal. You know, they want to hang out with people who agree with them. It's just human nature, and politics reflects human nature. And unfortunately, again, the founders didn't want it going that way, and it did. You know, but I heard somebody was saying like you're trying to think about doing live and stuff, and you're right, like on
I still don't know how to do it.
Well, okay, like I know YouTube has that new restriction about the cell phone, but let me tell you, okay, now you do a lot of graphics and stuff. Well, you must wait, hold it. You must have a pretty good desktop with a good graphics card on it, right?
Well, I got a bunch of programs. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a desktop or a laptop?
Oh, it's just a computer with a tower.
Yeah, desktop. What kind of do you know what kind of graphics card it has in it?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No,
okay. Well, how long ago did you get the computer?
I wish I knew. I don't know nothing much about computers except for putting DVDs in and just adding programs.
Yeah, basically, um, you can buy like when I first started, I got a used laptop like for $250, and it had a decent processor, decent amount of RAM in it, and I bought a little webcam that didn't cost that much, and I was able to start doing live. First, I did videos, and then I was able to start doing live with it. And then as I expanded, I started, buying some things and adding on to it. But to get started, you can just start off kind of slow, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
if you
That's
know
what
any,
I'm doing right now.
right now, do you know any people who do gaming, like guys who do gaming and stuff,
I wish
like
I knew how to
gamers?
do all that.
No, but do you have any
I wish I
friends
knew
or
how.
family who do or are gamers?
No, except for
Oh,
this little autistic kid in here.
well, yeah, because here's the deal. The type of systems that gamers use are the same systems that you would use. Oh, you got me on in the background. I can hear,
You got me on in the background.
yeah, I can hear myself. What are you doing? I don't like hearing myself. But but yeah, the same computer systems they use.
Computer system,
Stop it. Stop it. Shonda, keep playing me in the background. Play me later. You can
Oh,
hear
my
me.
kid's throwing a cup at me.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the same system they use is
I'll go
what
somewhere
you
else.
use. Yeah. And so if you have a desktop and a webcam, then you can live stream. You just can't live stream off a cell phone. So, but a lot of times, you really don't want to. The quality versus what you get from $40 for a webcam, a good one, 1080p. Boom, plug it USB, plug it right in, plug and play. No fuss, no muss. It clicks right in. It reads it right away. Boom. As far as a mic, you can get like a USB microphone. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, nothing expensive. Again, that plugs right in. USB port. Boom. The old 2.0 ports too. You don't need the new ones. And so you got your mic, got your camera, you got your
Yeah,
computer.
I do have a camera along with a mic with a computer. Yep, I sure do.
Yeah, what?
I
Well,
got
shit.
everything hooked
There
up.
you go. You're in.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. I got a mic and a camera, but they're put together. It's just a mic all in one deal.
No, that's fine. Okay,
I
the
know it sounds
quality.
weird. That's the
Yeah, the
only thing I can
quality.
talk into.
Yeah, the quality's not as good, but it's good enough. Okay, so yeah, you're in.
Oh, the quality's it's pretty good.
Are you on it right
Pretty
now?
good.
Are you on that mic
No, I'm
right
not on
now?
it right now. I'm just on the
Oh, okay.
no,
Because
I'm just on the telephone.
yeah, because if it's good quality, then boom, you can live stream. The only restriction is you can't live stream on a phone. But it sounds like you can live stream right now.
I,
Yeah. So there you go. You're in.
I don't even know what to
Ta-da!
talk about even if I do live stream. I don't
Well,
know.
what are you interested?
I
I
don't even know
mean,
what to talk about.
what are you interested in graphic designing? Is that your big interest?
Mhm.
Well, guess what? You talk about that.
Right.
What whatever interests you, that's what you talk about. Like I like politics, so I talk
Yep.
about politics. You like graphic? I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
I just
graphic
like
designing. What?
to turn a negative into a positive on the politics.
I try
Yep.
sometimes. Sometimes it's just so negative you can't make it a good positive story. But sometimes you can. You know, it all depends on the kind of the story. But yeah, I mean, if I was you, I would. If you know a lot about something, you can provide information on it and talk about different things, and then put up some of the stuff you're doing. Then other YouTubers like me will look at your stuff and go, hey, that'd be nice if I can, I'd love to have some graphic designs for like, what do they call it? The little logos and stuff, and also, what I put up there and
Yeah,
things.
I love logos.
Yeah. I mean, there you
I
go.
love doing
You can
logos. I
advertise.
love doing things from scratch.
Yeah. Maybe you
I
make a
can
few
make a
bucks
rose from
doing it.
scratch.
Yeah. You
Make
make a few bucks
cube
doing it.
from scratch. Anything.
Yeah.
And more shapes into one.
There you go. See? You got a lot to talk about. I mean, I don't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
See?
I
Not
make
bad.
sparkles of my own creation. And
You do what?
of an animation.
You do
Make some
animation?
sparkles.
Yeah? Shit.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Sounds excellent. So you're a big Trump supporter, though, right?
Yes, I love Trump.
Yay. See? That's good.
My dad likes Trump too.
Ah, good deal. Good deal.
Yep.
Well, you got a whole family of Trump supporters.
We do not like that side.
You don't like who?
We don't like the other side, what they're doing. We don't hate the people. We just don't like what they do.
Like, for instance, what
We don't
don't
like
you
what
like?
they're doing.
Like what?
Well, I don't like that they're breaking the laws. They are breaking laws. They are killing our people. They care more about illegals than our real American people in our country. They're going to turn this country. They want to turn it upside down and bankrupt our country. Turn it like Venezuela.
Yeah.
Make it a socialist country.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
They're doing it. Yeah.
And we gotta stop them.
Yes. Yep.
We can't let them do
That's
that.
right. We all got to come together as one and take a stand.
Where we go one, we go all.
Yep.
So the big thing is just to keep getting out there, talking to friends, family, sharing the information. Letting people know their vote matters. Get out there and vote. If you know somebody who can't make it to the polls that day, they need a ride to the polls, give them a ride. If you want to volunteer, like a local congressional office or assembly office, state senate office, that's a good idea. People still do send out direct mailing.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you do graphic. Maybe you can even volunteer, local Republican Party. Let them know you do graphics and stuff. Maybe you can help them with their logos. You can volunteer your time. That'd be pretty cool.
Yep. I make free stuff for people to use, like backgrounds or clip art stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know it's so hard for other people because they don't have enough money to make it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So I just let it be free for others to use. Yep.
Yeah.
If they want to make money off it, they can.
Sure.
That's what I do.
Well, what you could do is like you go to a local state senator's office, field office, or a state assemblyman's field office, or a congressman's field office, or a U.S. senator's field office, or a local Republican Party's field office, and go in there and say, "Hey, this is what I do. Bring some of your work with you. Show them what you can do. Say, do you guys need any help with like graphics for like envelopes or flyers or email stuff?" And say, "I'll volunteer." Just tell me what you need. You know?
It'll take my mind off of stuff because the way, you know how I am. Always putting myself, down.
No, I didn't know that about you.
It's just the way I was brought up.
Well, don't do that. You don't want to own that negative energy.
I need to start listening to people.
Well, no. You don't. Be careful who you listen to. You might be listening to some kind of an idiot. Okay? But what you need to do is like do your own research. Like, I do these stories and stuff, and I give my commentary on it. But maybe, you're online. Check out these stories yourself. Read them. Get your own opinion. Mm-hmm. I give my opinion, Carl's opinion, if you will. And then I do call-in shows so I get other people's opinion because I want to kind of broaden my own horizons, learn from others. So same thing. So, yeah, just don't
You
depend
do
on
a great
somebody
job,
else.
Carl.
Excuse me?
You do a real great job, Carl. I hope I said your name right.
Yeah, you
I
did.
have a bad habit of not saying words right.
Nah, you got it, Carl. That's me. No, well, thanks. It's a really nice compliment.
Okay.
Totally appreciate that. Well, all right, young lady.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your phone call. But definitely do that. I mean, you have a skill. You have a talent. If you can, help the Republican
Yeah.
Party in your area, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. I'm sure
And
they
we sure
would.
do got great friends in here. I'd like to say hi to them.
Well, say hi. Go ahead. You're on. Say hi.
Hello, you all. Hey, Jervis. Hey, douchebag. Ippy. Can't think who else is in here. Hold on. Because I was outside. Oh, there's Effie. There's Muhammad. There's DM. Hello, you all. Just don't want to leave nobody out, but I want to say thank you all. Thanks. Thanks a lot, you all. And Carl, too.
Not a problem.
Yeah, and my kids agreeing too.
Oh, excellent. You got a whole family of Trump
All
supporters.
right.
Fantastic. All right, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely do that. Definitely do that. All right, young lady.
Okay.
Have a great night. Thank
I'll
you so
take
much
care
for
of that.
calling in.
You too. You take care, sir.
All right,
Love
bye-bye.
you all. Love you, Carl. Bye-bye.
And that was the great Shonda, graphic designer. Fantastic. Yeah, if she could volunteer at like a local Republican Party or something, and, because, their emails they send out, they still do direct mailing. I know it sounds crazy, but these party offices still do direct mail. And because it still works. People still open letters when they get home. It's kind of crazy, but they do. So, I mean, there's a lot, or even like on letterheads and stuff. She can do some nice graphic design for that. Even setting up fonts on the computer and different, clip art and stuff. That'd be great. Oh, phone call coming in. Hey, Effie Real, how you doing?
Hi. You sound a little fuzzy. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I sound a little fuzzy.
Oh, yeah. You sound really distorted. So I just want to make sure you can hear me okay.
Oh, I can hear you. Do I sound distorted on the phone, or did I sound distorted on YouTube?
On the phone. I don't have my computer turned on. I have my phone.
Oh, no. I mean, when you were listening to me on YouTube, how did I sound on YouTube?
Oh, yeah, no, dear. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, on the phone. You sound really distorted on the phone. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brrr.
Phone. Oh, God, that hurt.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Well, I can turn myself down a little bit. Let me turn myself. Maybe I might have the gain a little bit too high. Hold on. Let me turn it down.
Yeah. It sounds like you're talking through one of those what do you call them? Bullhorns.
Oh, okay. How's that? Is that better?
I think it's better. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really, really distorting your voice.
Okay. Yeah.
On the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Take that down.
That's weird.
Well, no. I just had the gain up high, and the phone was probably picking it up heavier than the mixer board. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's more of a direct
you
connection
just
to
hate
the
me.
phone.
So.
Yeah. More of a direct connection to the phone. But as long as everybody can hear us.
I made me forget what the hell I was calling about. Damn it.
Oh. Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Wait. Hold on.
Anyway.
Steve, hold on. Steve says it's on your end because Steve says he hears no distortion.
Yeah.
It's all on you.
Yeah. It was the phone. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said you hated me. I know the chat. It was okay on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So.
Good deal.
That's
But
what I get for calling.
So what did you want to talk about before I got you all distracted and stuff?
I just, sheesh. I wanted to say a great job calling in, Shonda. I know she's, overcoming her shyness to do that. Great job, Shonda.
Oh,
and,
I didn't know she had a shyness problem.
Well, she talks sometimes in the chat room about calling in different places, and then she doesn't call in. But she's called now. I've heard her twice call in different shows, so she's getting better.
Okay.
You know,
Oh, wait,
it
hold
just
on.
takes a couple
Let's
of
see. Your
times
sound was fine from here. Okay. Okay, hold on. How is the sound now?
Okay.
Okay, I'm asking the chat.
On my
Okay,
end?
Steve, Jervis, are we good now? Are we good? I want to make sure because now Effie got me all messed up. Okay,
Okay.
so am I good now? We'll see. Hold on. They got a
Okay.
14-second delay, so hold on. Take a few seconds. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Up, Jervis gave thumbs up. Yay, we're good. Okay, all right, young lady.
Yay.
So, yay, cool. So, all right. So, what you got? Now it has more treble.
I
Shit.
can't remember. You guys are killing me, man. You're killing me with the distractions. Holy crud.
Steve,
Okay,
Steve, you're killing me.
so
There's more
I
trouble. I
was,
got an EQ. I got an EQ board on the mix. I got an EQ on the mixer board. So I'm looking at the EQ, saying, "Oh shit, am I mid-level too high? I got to reduce that." But I'll be sitting there all night, like playing with these dials. By the time I get done, I'll come back to where I was. Oh, that's too funny. But anyway, okay, Effie, what's your big
yeah,
point?
this
The
show
big
is
point you want to make tonight? What is
professional
it? The
AF.
world is waiting. What do you got? Hit us with it.
The
Big
world
time.
is waiting.
World is waiting.
Okay, I was reading the Penn Undergraduate Law Journal because I don't have enough to do.
Uh-huh.
And and this young lawyer wrote about 2 years ago wrote a journal article on this whole constitutionality of the National Popular Vote compact. Because it's not just that your state voted and other states are voting. They've made an interstate compact. So that adds another layer of, is this all legal, you know? Well, according to more than one thing, and most recently this journal article, which was written by Justin Yang, so he's Asian, so you know he's smarter, like 30% smarter than the rest of us.
Right. By the numbers.
In January,
of course. Yes.
Yeah, according to the percentages. I'm just being realistic, okay? I know my
agree.
limitations.
Totally
I'm not
agree.
Asian.
Totally agree.
In January of 2017, he penned this, very depressing journal article that says, unfortunately, it is. Now, of course, he appears to be on the other side, but of course, he lives in freaking whatever, Pennsylvania, I assume. So, anywho,
right.
Well, Pennsylvania's purple. Anyway, I digress. Point being, he's a University of Pennsylvania political philosophy and economics major, writing in the law journal. So I guess he's also a lawyer. But he says that that the ruling from the 1893 ruling, which was a state Virginia versus Tennessee disagreement, they ruled that a compact or agreement between states only require congressional approval if, quote, it would encroach upon or impair the supremacy of the United States, unquote. So what his argument is that even though they're making a compact which pertains to national elections, it doesn't actually, it appears to subvert the Constitution by helping changing the way the president would be elected, but it doesn't actually encroach. In other words, they're deciding how they're going to award their electoral votes as a state, and it's not actually encroaching on federal power in any way, and therefore it's not prohibited by the Constitution. So what's your take on that, Mr. Lawyer?
So kind of like what Maine does, where they split up their Electoral College votes?
Well, in fact,
was he arguing like how Maine does it?
Their votes, they're the state, and it's their votes, and therefore they're going to decide. Now, to me, that's two separate issues, is what the individual states are going to do. How does entering into the compact, the interstate compact, it's called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. People are arguing it subverts the Constitution by essentially changing the way we elect the president.
Right. So, I mean,
but
that's why
the argument is, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because
so that's why I was saying, I was thinking like when the
it.
Supreme Court looked at it, they would look past the form and go to the substance. In other words, what's the result? Does it have a prohibitive result, even though maybe the method is constitutional. The process is constitutional. The procedure is constitutional, but the result is a kind of like the way we look at civil rights laws. Disproportionate result. Does it have a negative result on the intent of the framers? And maybe they can strike it down on that reason.
Just like your I don't remember what political position you held, but the person in your state saying, "I don't want to give my vote away to New York." That is the function rather than the alleged intent of this.
Right. Because in other words, right, the result would be that your vote is like as if you're not in the state of Nevada anymore. You're in the state of California because you vote along with the people of the state of California. So, I think, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really studied the issue hard. I've been kind of on the peripheral looking at it and, reading different articles on it. But I just can't help but think that the Supreme Court, when they look at it, they'd say, okay, what's the result of this? Does it defeat what the Founding Fathers, with their intention of setting up the Electoral College was? And then you can go back and look at the initial arguments they had during the Constitutional Convention, kind of like a legislative history approach, and realize, no, it was so that the states would each have to be recognized by anybody running for national office, and by doing this, it dilutes that power, and so we're going to say it's unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be pretty safe to do that too, because why not? I mean, why? If it ain't broke, why try to fix it? I mean, that's not a legal argument, but I think legally, I think it'd be pretty good footing saying, look, if you want to change this, you can. The founders gave you a way to change it. It's called a constitutional amendment. You can do that. So go do it. And if you do it, then we got nothing to say. In fact, we can't say anything. If you do a constitutional amendment, you can write a constitutional amendment saying it's okay to murder people over the age of 60 and amend the Fifth Amendment. Mm-hmm. You can make a constitutional amendment which specifically mentions the Fifth Amendment, says that you can't be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. You say, okay, this amendment amends the Fifth Amendment, where we can deprive someone of life who's over the age of 60. The Supreme Court can't touch that. It's done. If it goes through Congress and the 3/4 of the states, then that's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're done. So I think Supreme Court would come back and say, look, if you want to change it, if you want to change the effect of it, then you have a way to do that. That's through the constitutional amendment process.
Mm-hmm.
And what is this? Okay, wait, what is this? Okay, Mr. Lawyer, what's your opinion on this, Mr. Lawyer? What the hell was that? Mr. Smarty Pants Lawyer. What was that?
I'm just doing my job. That's my job. I toss it to you. You're the lawyer. You do the lawyering. I don't pretend to be a lawyer. I just ask the questions.
You don't play one on TV?
I do not play one on the internet. And I just ask the questions. Inquiry minds want to know.
Right.
So, hey, is there a term for constitutional exegesis?
Wait, what was that? I missed, is there a what?
Is there a term for constitutional exegesis? In other words, exegesis, which is, the interpretation of spiritual texts. Is there a term for the interpretation of constitutional texts? Is it still exegesis, or is it a different word?
I don't know. So,
in other words, like you said, looking at the founders' writings and interpreting it based on the whole of the intent of the law, rather than just taking
we generally refer to that as
out of context.
Yeah, we generally call that legislative history. Okay. In fact, there's classes in law school that are called legislative history, and when the legislature passes a statute, it generally passes it to be vague, because it won't. If you make it specific, you can get a lot of people voting against it. So you make it vague. And the courts, they have to figure out, okay, what was the intent of the legislature when they passed this statute? Okay, what does the law really mean? And so then when they go back to look at the committee hearings, they look at the speeches made on the floor of the Senate or the House, and pretty much the testimony and the votes of the committee and things like that. That's what they look at. Okay, and so they have to delve into what was the intent of the legislature when they passed this. What were they basing it on, a law from another state, that kind of stuff. So that's we call that legislative history.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just was wondering if we would call it that or something else. Okay. I just,
I don't know.
you know me.
You know
I
what?
have questions.
I'll tell you right now. I don't know everything. There might be a phrase for that. I don't know what it is. Constitutional exegesis. Exegesis. It sounds like, I don't know, like an exorcism. Like Jesus comes down and does an exorcism on the Constitution.
No, it's just it's not what it means.
It's like kind of scary sounding. I don't know. Yeah. But,
No, it's about the premise that you were speaking of before, which is about interpreting documents based on the whole of the body of the work and related documents, so that you're dealing with intent of meaning and contextual meaning and historical meaning and all the meanings that would pour into the words, rather than exerting phrases, clauses out of those statements and then trying to apply just a minor. Oh, it says this, therefore, like saying provide for the welfare means socioeconomic welfare, and that sort of thing.
right.
That,
Yeah.
Just taking a couple of words out and then and saying pouring all kinds of meaning into it is improper exegesis.
Yeah. So Steve writes EXE Jesus, or is he spelled EXE Jesus or EXE GESIS?
GESIS. I put it in the chat already.
Oh, Steve, look up a couple of where is she? There she is. It's right above you. Yeah, EXEGESIS. There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
That's the word.
Good
Okay.
deal. So how you been?
It's kind of from. I've had a day. You want to hear about my day?
Well, is it interesting, or do I not want to hear about it?
You may not. No, I had to deal with more legal stuff with my son today with regard to my son's
shit!
business.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Were you back in court? Were you at the lawyer's office or what?
Yeah, I was. I had to go to a couple of different towns and get some stuff documented, and it was. Hey, he's a man now. He's 18, so we had to do these things, and
right.
The unfortunate thing is some of the stuff I had to do, I had to have him with me. And, my son has about a 5-minute, fuse, and then he's done with whatever we're doing.
Right.
So, that's his level of autism. And so,
is he pretty, what do they
people
call
pretty
that?
much know it.
What do they call that? High, not high maintenance. What do they call that? Like high something?
Well, it depends on what you're referring to, but they consider him low functioning. He's very easily excitable. He's very sensitive to environment. He doesn't like a lot of things getting in his face.
Gotcha.
So he has impulse control issues and some other diagnoses. So, but then they say, well, you must take him to the DMV and get a photo ID. Well, I got to flash a picture in his face, in front of a whole bunch of noisy people. And so, it was not fun. And we had 3 attempts before we got a picture that didn't make him look like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Because he kept turning his face away from the camera.
I mean, how long were you at DMV for before you got to the front of the line? How long did you have to wait?
Well, it's not bad. I'm strategic that way. I took him to a local DMV where like I said, I live in a smaller area. So I took him to the small DMV where the wait isn't too bad and real people. I had 3 people helping me because we're awesome that way. I live in a red county, just saying.
Right. No, I live in the same type of place. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. You need a small town with real people to get things done.
Yeah.
Because then they're not just, ignoring you and not helping. And
no, we're like that here too. Same kind of place. Same exactly the way you're describing it. Yep. Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm sorry he had to go through that. I mean, that really sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I can't even take him to the doctor now without these things because he's a legal adult. So even though now I got the other stuff done, which we were talking about, which is the legal guardianship.
Yeah.
This is what you have to look forward to, Shonda. This is what you have to look when they turn 18. I got that done, but when I go into the doctor's office, they wanted a state-issued ID, and they wouldn't use the school ID, so we had to put him through that today. So we got
That's
through
insane.
it. And,
I mean, you walk in with a
Mama
guardianship.
was tired.
Yeah, I mean, like say, well, first of all, it's you don't have to even say, okay, you have an adult ward, right? And this person is say 65, and they're pretty much bedridden, and their ID expired like 4 years ago. What are you supposed to do then? You can't get them the DMV. You can't get them down there. You basically every time you take them to the doctor, you have to have the person transported. I know people like that, where every time they go to the doctor, they have to call for a private ambulance service to come pick them up and take them to the doctor's office. So what? If this person doesn't have valid ID, they don't let them in? Is that the rule in Florida?
Well, yeah, this is new to me. The doctor
that's really stupid.
Requiring a state ID because he's over 18, and even though I'm his legal guardian, they still want a state ID. I'm not really sure.
Doesn't make any sense.
But he only just turned 18 a little while ago, so all of this part of it is new to me.
I mean, I know people who are guardians over people who can't. They can't drive them anywhere. And again, anytime they have to take them to a doctor's appointment, they have to call for a private transport.
Oh, you can get. I was told by the DMV if it didn't work, they can do a non-photo ID at the DMV. But then I would have to argue every time I went to the doctor, this is a non-photo state-issued DMV. So it would be a state-issued DMV. I'm sorry, ID from the DMV, but so it might work. I just thankfully I was able to do it with the picture. But
right now, is this good at least for like 5 years or something?
I think it was maybe longer.
Oh, good.
It was pretty long. I think
good.
Maybe
good.
7. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, at least you don't have to do it anytime soon.
Yeah, I looked at that and went, when do I have to do this again? But hopefully he'll be a little calmer. The next time I have to do it, and but
how was he when you brought him to court?
Cats.
How was he when you brought him to court?
Oh, I didn't have to bring him into court to do that stuff.
Oh, okay, because in Nevada, you have to bring the ward with you unless you get an exception. Do they give you an exception or something saying you didn't have to bring him?
Well, the way they did, I don't know if it's an exception, but the way they handled it is that they issued the county issues him a court-appointed attorney who interviews, quote unquote, him.
Okay,
and,
good.
So
wherever he just came to court for him and said, right.
Right.
Okay.
We met like a month before the court date, and then she did her quote-unquote interview where she gives her spiel to my son who doesn't understand a word that she's saying. And basically she says, yeah, I agree that his mother should be his guardian, and goes to court and on behalf of her client, which is my son, says that. So that's what happened.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, good. That at least you didn't have to take him to court, because sometimes that can be a real hassle.
Yeah, it would not have been possible, the length of time waiting in a courtroom, even though it's pretty quick because, again, small county, yay. But it would have still been too much for him, so it would not have worked.
Well, geez, you get your arms full over there. Jesus.
Yeah, well, he got snacks and food and a nice long car ride, so it was cool. He liked it. It's just I got tired. Wasn't a physical drain. It was a lot of driving. It wasn't a physical drain, but it's just kind of an emotional drain. So when I have a day like this, I end up taking a nap. So I have
I saw when you came on. You said you just woke up. Yeah.
yeah. It's just draining, but I think it's an emotional thing. It's one of those icky mom days where you just want to go to bed.
Well, yeah, because you see your son suffering, having to go through this. I mean, that's really draining. You see your kid, suffering.
Yeah, I think this kind of stuff makes me feel more even more against government intervention. I'm turning into a full-on arachno
Anarchist.
libertarian.
Anarchist? No, you just skipped
Anarchy,
libertarian. You went right to
anarchy.
anarchy. Anarchy. What movie was that? When the kid yelling anarchy, and like he's tearing the place up.
What was it called? Airheads, right?
Yeah.
Was it Airheads?
I can't remember, but I just remember the kid yelling anarchy. It was funny because I remember when I was in college, political science classes, and we were studying Leo Tolstoy, and so I'm in church, and this guy's behind me, he's got a anarchy T-shirt on. And I go, oh, wow, Leo Tolstoy. And I start talking about political, science issues on anarchy.
Right.
And he looks at me like, deer caught in the headlights. And he goes, oh, no, man, I just bought the T-shirt because it looked cool. And I'm like, oh, okay. Take it off. Idiot.
I've done that before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
right.
you're going to put on a T-shirt, voicing a certain political viewpoint, at least know what the hell it stands for. I mean, I don't know, maybe like look it up in the dictionary or something. What does it mean? What am I advertising? What am I supporting? Anarchy. Do you know what that means? No. I mean, I just bought it because it looked like a cool T-shirt. Yeah, anarchy. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, I didn't read all of War and Peace, but to be fair, it's really, really long.
Oh, I didn't read it. I didn't read all of War and Peace. No, of course not. No, I mean, we studied his political philosophy. We weren't required to read War and Peace. But, yeah, I mean, I saw the movie with Henry Fonda. Does that count?
No, but Henry Fonda was a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But no, yeah, we didn't make us read the damn novel.
Think
read this novel. Learn about Leo Tolstoy that way. It's like, oh, bullshit on that, So, but yeah, no. Steve writes like, does anarchy mean no Bill of Rights? Anarchy means pretty much no government. It's if I remember correctly, to go back 35 years of my life, but yeah, anarchy is like no government. Pretty much, kind of like Thomas Hobbes' state of nature, at its extreme, every man for themselves, and that it's kind of a Darwinian thing, like things would just weed itself out by the natural course of things.
Yeah.
The strong would survive, the weak won't. The funny thing about anarchy, though, is that it eventually leads to governments, because what happens is, for self-protection, you form back into groups again, and then when you form into this group, there's generally like this one guy I was interviewing, Gerard Cote. It's like then in that group you're going to have like people who are like natural leaders, right? Well, then the question becomes, like, when this guy starts barking out orders, somebody yells out, "Well, who put you in charge?" Right? And then the next thing you have a discussion about how should we determine who's in charge, and then you come up with like this whole like election idea, voting, or who gets to vote. And, that kind of stuff. And the next thing you're back to forming a government again. It just kind of comes right back to it. It's not like anarchy doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
It can't. By the very structure of anarchy, it can't survive. Because people naturally form into groups for self-protection. And then how big does the group become? Then you get into Plato discussion about how large should a city-state be. And then, shit, you're all right back where we started. So...
yeah. I only approve of anarchy as sort of an abstract, idealistic kind of thing, but in the real, no, obviously.
Right.
But
no, anytime I deal with a government agent,
fun in the abstract.
No, anytime I deal with government services, I'm always like, remember, people, like your DMV or some state agency or county agency. It's like, these are the people who be running government-run healthcare. These are the people sitting in the cubicles that when you have a question or concern or you have to deal with something, these are the people who are sitting in the cubicle answering your phone call and dealing with it.
Yeah.
The same type of people.
Right.
So think about that.
Well, this is why, yeah, you go, there's nobody, because when you are sitting across the desk from a government drone who is not answerable really to anyone
Right. They can't
when
be
they
fired.
mess up your life because of their ineptitude, you go, am I an anarchist?
Right.
And sometimes I think, yes,
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
not that
you
into
deal
punk
with this
rock,
idiot.
but in those moments, I kind of want to be. So it's just, yeah, what can I say? Maybe I'm an eloquent anarchist, perhaps, but yeah, maybe less of a punker, more of a, a Mozart anarchy. Give me some cerebral anarchy, a little bit of, but maybe that's. Now we're getting into the whole computer side of me. I mean, there's ways you can do things, but the point is, I'm off on a tangent. Oh, mathematical term. I can't keep my brain
That's
hemispheres
okay.
together
Steve Nichols
tonight.
just wrote, "Arg, you're killing me with the cigs. Nicotine is so unhealthy." Nah, man. Hey, Steve. All the cool kids smoke, man. If you want to be cool, you want to join the cool kids, you got it.
Hey,
But no, he goes,
anarchy,
anarchy. Hey, don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. I'm a libertarian when it comes to
Don't
smoking.
tread on me.
Right? Yeah. Founding fathers,
Well,
revolution, the tea
as
tax.
long as your secondhand smoke doesn't get me through the phone, I don't care what you do to your lungs or the rest of your body.
Well, we don't know if it doesn't, so better watch out. It could go through the internet.
We don't know.
Right? Who knows?
There have been no studies done, as far as I know, on secondhand smoke through the telephone or internet. So I could be in trouble, in which case,
I get
I'm going to have to regulate you, Carl.
I get clients who test. I get
it.
clients who test dirty for marijuana, and they claim that they were in a room where somebody was smoking pot, and that's how they got pot in their system.
Yeah, I got accused of it by walking through a building that was, ganja cave, and I came out the other end smelling like I was in reefer madness, and so my an adult in the community flat on accused me to my face. I was very grumpy about that because I don't like false accusations. And maybe that's why I'm pro-Trump right now, too. I don't like when people falsely accuse people. It ticks me off.
Well, I think,
so, one of my
it's funny because Trump himself is not a very sympathetic person. Like, you don't feel a lot of sympathy for him naturally because he's real obnoxious and he's in your face. And he's.
Right.
But the Democrats are making this guy into a sympathetic figure. Because
they are. Yes, they are. I agree with you.
And that's
100%.
funny. And so hopefully,
I'm that way about it. I don't like people getting kicked around, and I don't like people being lied about, and it ticks me off. And yeah, you're right. It's made Trump into this sympathetic, almost underdog when he's the furthest thing from it in real life, and in his mannerisms, in his success in life, and yet it's like, stop picking on the man. Damn.
Yeah, so that might be good. I mean, between his bullishness and then suddenly people start feeling sorry for the guy, I mean, shit, you'll get a lot of votes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's true. Yeah.
So
and there are. I mean, I feel I'm really ashamed for my XX chromosome Ian voters, because too many of us vote the wrong way. And maybe this can capture more of that vote for the sympathy side of it,
I hope so.
Because we do tend to be.
Well, the thing that pisses me off the most.
The theory.
The thing that pisses me off the most is they say, well, he's in charge of a cover-up. But if it was found he didn't do anything wrong, what the hell is he covering up? He's not covering anything up. He just says, hey, look, I'm not going to play your game anymore.
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
When she said cover up, he should have got up there and said, cover what, Nancy, in his voice, I'm trying to do Trump, but I'm not good at it. Cover what, Nancy, he should have said like that, and so and then left them to answer the damn question. Cover what?
Yeah.
What? He's had a flashlight up his rear end since a year before he took office.
Oh, yeah,
Cover
for
what,
sure.
Nancy?
No,
And
we
you
know
answer the
for
daggone
sure.
question.
We know for sure the FBI guy, informant Misford, met with Papadopoulos in March of 2016. So that means they had to start that operation
Yeah.
sometime in January, December, possibly of
Mhm.
15. So I mean, yeah, for like shit, 3 years, 3.5 years, this guy's been under investigation. They found nothing, and so he's got nothing to
Mhm.
cover up. But what he's doing is saying, look, I'm not going to play your game. I'm done. That's what the whole
Yeah.
deal with firing Comey was. He knew Comey knew. He knew. Okay, Trump knew. Okay, Trump knew he didn't conspire with the Russians. He knew that because it's him. He's like, I didn't do that, and nobody around me did it. I know that. But the thing that pissed him off the most was he knew Comey knew he didn't do anything, and Comey was still chasing after him.
Mhm.
And he's like, well, fuck this. He goes, I'm not going to play this game. You're just trying to hurt me. You're just trying to
Yep.
hurt this country. I'm not going to let you get away with it. You're fired. Get lost. Okay? It wasn't obstruction. It was like, hey, you know the truth. You know the truth. You've listened to all my phone calls, emails, texts the last 10 years. Once you had that page thing, and they went back and eventually got to Trump and his phone calls and everything else. You know I haven't done anything wrong. You know Cohen didn't go to Prague. You know all that was bullshit. You know the dossier was bullshit, and yet you're still pursuing me. You're still coming after me just to hurt me, to weaken my administration, to weaken this country. I'm not playing along. That's not obstruction. That's telling somebody to go fuck themselves. Okay?
Mhm.
Period. That's not obstruction.
Exactly.
And there's nothing to
Yeah.
cover up. The one thing
Yeah.
Mueller came out for sure and said was no collusion. There's no underlying crime. Nothing. No conspiracy. Okay? So there's no obstruction, no cover up. And that's why he told Nancy today, hey, go fuck yourself and get the hell out of my damn office. And I'm going to go hold a press conference. Bye. And then I'm going to go on Twitter.
It's exactly why I wonder how much can a person take before they completely lose them. And the good news is he does vent some steam every now and then. So at least he's not holding it in. That's the thing about the last 3 or 4 versions of presidents and or presidential Republican hopefuls, is that they have always been very much closing their mouth and taking it, as far as I could tell.
Uh-huh.
And Trump doesn't do that.
Right.
So, hopefully that's good for his mental, stability, because dang, I mean, he's got to put up with this.
No, well, that's what they're hoping.
Escalated under.
No, let me tell you, a lot of people would have folded over the last 2 years or lost it.
Yeah.
How he kept it together.
Well,
I have
we've
so much
seen him
admiration for this
fold.
guy. I have so much admiration for this guy that he was able to keep it together and not just survive, but thrive and have this country thrive. I don't know how he did it. I have no idea. I don't know if I could have done that. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he's
considering
amazing.
the pressure that he's under, considering the pressure that he's under, he's actually quite restrained, and they're gaslighting the crap out of him, because they're like doing these things like Pelosi did an hour before their meeting.
That was bullshit.
Spewing that. Spewing that nonsense an hour before their meeting, and then walking out and acting like, well, we didn't do anything.
We didn't do anything. Oh, I'm just a little girl. Yeah, I'm just a little girl. I didn't do anything. I don't know why he's so upset.
Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That is gaslighting. That is classic abusive personality disorder behavior. That woman should be on medication behind bars.
Yeah, I mean,
not
to mention, all these deals got done today with Schiff and Cummings. I mean, everything got worked out. With Barr and the Mueller report and this and in fact, the caucus, there was a big cheer went off when Schiff told the caucus, the Democratic caucus, "Oh, I got it worked out." They're like, "Yay!" They all cheered because they're like, "Good." This is because they were like, "This is bullshit." Good. I'm glad you guys got it done. And that's the problem they went to Nadler with. That's what Collins brought up to Nadler in that hearing yesterday. He goes, normally we do accommodation, like in the legal sense. We don't, not just we accommodate people, is that there's an accommodation process. We meet with their attorneys, we meet with them, we try to work out, okay, how long the hearing going to be, how many questions going to get asked, when do you have to be here, what topic's going to be discussed. You know, he goes, that's been the history of this body for over 100 years. And on this, there was none. He said nothing. Just hit him with a subpoena. Don't show up, contempt. And that's why he was looking at Nadler like, what's wrong with you? You know, what did he say? He had a really good line. He says, you're interested in headlines. You're not interested in the truth. You're interested in a fight, not getting information. You know, you just want to fight. You just want to keep the headline, you know, fight. You know, and then, of course, MSNBC and CNN, they fall right in the line with it. You know, I was watching Lawrence O'Donnell. I hate that guy. He's an idiot. I call him the Mary Kay man, Mary Kay cosmetic man, because he wears so much makeup, you know, to try to look young, you know. Probably got more Botox than Pelosi does, honestly. But anyway, and he's like, oh, yeah, you know, and even Nixon was working and wasn't going on strike. And now it's like, oh, Trump goes on strike. Trump didn't go on strike. He just said, hey, I'm not playing your game. You know, don't accuse me of committing a felony. You accuse me of committing a felony, and you're not just some low-life Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. You know, you're the Speaker of the damn House. You're third in line. You can't just say shit like that, accuse me of a felony, and think that I'm just going to say, oh, okay, Nancy, that's just politics. No, he's like, fuck you, Nancy. Fine. Show up for the meeting. Meeting canceled. Goodbye. I'm going to go out and hold a press conference. See ya.
Yeah, she's not speaker anymore. She's got no control over this clown.
No, she has no control over that body.
It's none. She's speaker in name only at this point. Nobody's listening to her.
No.
I mean, she's just she sounds desperate. Like she's a mother. She's the old lady in the shoe with so many children she doesn't know what to do. And she's trying to get them rounded up, and they're just running all over the place.
No, that Omar controversy with the anti-Semitic remarks proved that, because she wanted to go in and do like a censorship, and then a bunch of people in her party said, "Oh no, we don't want to do that," and she's like, "What?" And she realized she didn't have the votes. Well, the Republicans went to her. They said, "Look, you may not have enough votes with your caucus, but we'll vote unanimous if you censor her. We'll give you the votes. Okay, with our votes, you'll have enough votes."
How do they keep making her the speaker?
Well, she's a kingmaker. She has fundraising ability. She raised a lot of money for a lot of people. Yeah. She didn't get to where she was by being nice either, you know. So those deals were already in place.
But she's not good at it. Shouldn't the speaker be able to build coalitions and lead and get people on board on her side? She's not good at any of that.
No, she's not.
You know who would have been a good speaker? Bill Clinton. Back in the day, he was actually good at making deals and stuff.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have been president. He should have been. He should have been speaker.
Well, he was a womanizer and a drunk, like Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Well, he had. Okay, I'm just trying to give the man a compliment for the one thing.
I was saying a compliment too. I was saying he's a womanizer and a drunk, and that makes somebody very friendly and appealing. You know.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, especially when you got a bunch of men in the room.
Go that far.
You can talk about drinking and women.
Rapist, okay.
Right. You can be like Donald Trump talking about grabbing them by the vaginas and stuff. Like, oh yeah, it's funny. Yeah, let's vote on this. And have a drink. Yeah, hey. That's how deals get done.
Yeah.
Masculine toxic.
Dude, I said
toxic
masculinity. I just blew your channel out. I just totally said the R word when we're talking about. That's one of the words you're not allowed to say. Apparently, it's on the list.
Oh, really? Well, I didn't hear it. So
you have to say like illegal sexual congress. You can't say the other word with the R.
Well, you got me. Now I'll have to go back and listen to it.
I was saying what the crime Bill Clinton is guilty of with regard to women.
Oh, that word.
Dude,
well, you can say that word, can't you? Now you got me paranoid. Now I don't want to say the damn word myself. It's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of them. We probably said half of them already. I'm just saying.
That's okay.
Your algorithm the hell out, so don't even worry about it. Not have a channel on it. You have to do your own advertising. So
they
anyway,
they mess with me all the time anyway.
Take another call.
I know. I'm a little guy.
Maybe.
Go ahead. What?
Maybe Muhammad will call you or somebody and make you laugh.
I was laughing.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the phone call then. I will let you go. and see if Muhammad
Okay.
or well,
Okay.
douchebag says. Well, douchebag wrote, "Don't hang up. No, don't end the show without me calling in." So I said, "Okay." So,
Okie dokie.
all right,
Cool.
young lady. Thanks for the
Okay.
call.
Somebody call in.
All right, have
Good
a good
night.
one. All right, bye bye. All right, Mr. Douchebag Muhammad, if you want to call in, line is open 775-273-8970. Again, 775 no, 775 273-8970. Yay. But that was a great Effie reel. Always a great phone call. She does a lot of video phone calls also. I like the video calls because I think it's more entertaining for the audience, to actually see us on screen versus a phone call. But phone calls are fine too, so that's good. But let's see. I was covering this story. All right, so anyone wants to call in? 775-273-8970. Douchebag, you want to call in? Muhammad, you want to call in? Line is open. In the meantime, I will cover this story. No. U.S. Navy sends message to Russia with Second Fleet's, here we go, Second Fleet's Baltic operations. So let's go ahead and, we were covering this. I'm trying to remember where I left off. Let's see. I think we just started. All right. So the venerable reborn Second Fleet is embarking on its first major mission into the North Atlantic less than 6 months after the Navy recommissioned it to counter what the Pentagon says is steadily rising Russian aggression. Well, the funny thing about that is when I first saw this story and it said Second Fleet, I'm like, Second Fleet? I'm like, wait, don't they mean the Third Fleet? The Atlantic Fleet? And I'm like, no, it couldn't be that big of a typo because it's. So I didn't read the story. And so now I'm reading it. It's like, oh, okay, so it's been recommissioned. So I guess Second Fleet maybe during Vietnam or Korea or World War II, and then it was decommissioned, and now it's back in. Now they got a new Second Fleet, and I guess it's designed primarily for for the Baltic or the North Atlantic or something. We'll find out. We'll both find out. We'll all find out. Here we go. Navy commanders say the mission in a large-scale training exercise with European allies is about improving interoperability among allies. But the underlying message of the Baltic Operations Naval Drill, while Baltops, is unmistakable. It shows Russia and its allies that the Second Fleet is ready to fight alongside its NATO counterparts to confront any Moscow challenge of the U.S. and the alliance. Location of at least some of the drills is a shot across the bow. Exercises will be staged off the coast of Kaliningrad, the Russian enclave on the Baltic sandwich between Poland and Lithuania, that the military news site Breaking Defense describes as bristling with radars, electronic warfare capabilities, and guided missiles. Top brass of Second Fleet began planning the exercise with other Navy and Marine Corps combat commanders as well as representatives from the 17 NATO allies participating in the drills weeks after the fleet was reconstituted in August. Established after World War II, the fleet was supposedly consigned to permanent dry dock in September of 2011 based on the Obama administration's belief that the threat from Russia had diminished. Now that's funny. That was that whole Mitt Romney debate when President Obama said there is no more threat from Russia. Now, of course, the Democrats yelled, Russia, Russia, Russia. But anyway, see, it's about midnight. I am going to have to go now because I have to be at work in the morning. So, unfortunately, we didn't get to Mr. Douchebag or to Mohammed. Up there's Douchebag calling in. Oh, shit. Okay, let me just tell him real quick. Douchebag, how you doing?
What's up, Carl? What you doing? How you doing?
Not much.
How is everything?
Just doing good. I was just about to end the live stream because it's midnight and I have to get up and go to work in the morning. So damn it.
Oh, okay. You want me to call back another time? I can.
Yeah. Next live show I do, definitely call in. You can call in right away if you want. You don't have to wait till I get through some stories, or just put in the chat. Put in the chat that you want to call, and then I'll call you. And that way I make sure you get right in. Sound good?
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
I got to go to sleep.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Douchebag. All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
All right, guys. Anyway, thanks. It's been a great live stream. But, yeah, I got to go to work in the morning. So, hey, thanks for everybody who's been in the chat. Thanks for everybody who's been viewing. And thanks to all those who will be viewing later. And for Carl's opinion, this is Carl. All right, guys. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.